Hey, everybody on YouTube, what is happening? What is going on? It is so good to see you here on a Friday night edition of the Mighty SOR, and I'm so proud to be broadcasting to all of you. And you know our main man on the first Friday of the month, the man, the myth, and the pork chop sideburn legend, R Keith Andrews, is here with the ET Connection. Look at those sideburns, people. Look at those sideburns. Let's get a close-up view of those. Oh, turn to the side, Keith. Give us a profile. Look at that. Give us a little rub on them, Keith. Come on, give a little rub for us.
What, these?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, there we go. There we go. How y'all doing? Hey, I want to, before I give the rundown of everybody in the audience, remember a couple of weeks ago, I asked us to send some healing energy to Gary the Dutchman, who is the owner of Mighty Moose Beard Oil. His health was declining. He let me know today that, I tell you, our prayers and thoughts have worked, and the positive energy and healing energy that we have sent his way have worked. His health is improving, and it doesn't look like he is going to lose his leg now to diabetes.
Now, that is fantastic news.
That is fantastic news. So we're going to continue praying for Gary and sending him healing energy to get that diabetes out of his legs there, and that way he can keep his leg, because we want that to happen. We really do. SJ in the gold medal position. Race fan for the second night in a row takes home silver, and the lovely and talented Cosmic Fleur picks up the bronze medal tonight. Jan Yannick, how are you? Jack Clark, what's happening? John Swan, good to see you, my friend. The gorgeous and talented Emily Bigelow is here, everyone, otherwise known as Alaska's greatest athlete. Yes, notice how we have to pause on that. Alaska's greatest athlete. And she, believe it or not, every time I say that, she actually bows down because she knows her fans are watching wherever they are. She knows they're watching. Solar Warden, what's happening? And John Swan, Abe Trough, how you doing? And where am I catching up to here? All right, there's the lovely and talented Ange from Australia. Say hello, Ange. Kings, what's happening, man? Good to have you here. Thank you for coming on in. Always appreciate you, my friend. Paul Holland from Australia. How you doing, brother? Typical Watch. Good to see you. Hey, Big Aiden, how are you, man? Good to have you here. Thank you for coming on in. Millennium and Ed Clater are here, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Evil Carl will be joining us tonight as well. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio for Evil Carl, to the left of the studio. Greg Moyes and Aussie Steve are here. Any of the Aussie team, could you please let us know how tomorrow is looking, and are we alive tomorrow in the future? We'd appreciate an update. The lovely and talented Malou Gleerup is here. Thank you for joining us. Mama Susan, how are you? Good to see you here. All right. Scrolling on down, there's our Keith Andrews in the chat room. Jeffrey DeRuin, what's happening, man? Aussie, oi, oi to you, my friend. The Fapster is here, as well as 416 Bitcoin. What is going on? Hey, thanks for taking my call earlier, 416. Appreciated chatting with you. Hammer and Tongs, welcome to our chat room for the first time. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Gary, what's happening? Spikes, love you, man. All right. Hope you had a good evening with the mama there. And Steve Stockton and Mark Eddy, good to see you guys. Jeremy Jones. Opa de Greco, what's happening? Aurea Marie will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio. So you have Evil Carl on the right, Aurea Marie on the left tonight. So make sure you bring a nice pen. Madison Apt, welcome to our chat room. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And there we have Big Bad Andrew. He's trucking across the United States somewhere. I think he is on, I don't know where the hell he is, but give us a honk, Andrew. We'd appreciate that. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Mandingo, how you doing? Good to see you back. Richard Elmore, thanks for joining us. And where are we? My lovely Jenny, how are you, my friend? Gorgeous Renee. Kevin, what's happening? Jim Christie is here, everyone. The Jim Christie. The lovely Laura Stevens is joining us. Give us a wave, Laura. Hi there, gorgeous Helena. What's happening? And stunning Renee. Nice to have both of you here. Hi there, Nikki. How are you? Bee Gees, you're back. Nice to see you. And let's see, Scott Brown, thanks for joining us. Evil Carl, thank you for that super chat and kicking things off from the lovely state of Virginia. Robert Dixon and Anthony Coths, how are you guys? Good to have you here. We are about 30 seconds away from launch. Big J and Drake, how you doing, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time. Evil Carl, thank you for that super chat. And Ed Clater, thank you for the super chat as well. Really do appreciate that support. Remember, the super chat is a great way to support what we do here on a nightly basis. And of course, hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell is a great way to get us going as well as our channel continues to grow. Hi, War Eagle. How you doing, man? Good to see you. And I think I am caught up. Oh, Usagi. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show and our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio at KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Now, it is that time of the month once again where we bring in our resident ET expert, R Keith Andrews, for the ET Connection. I know you love him. I love him too. Love his sideburns because I know in Radioland you can't see his sideburns, but his pork chops are stellar. And of course, with June 25th's Pentagon release date set for the UFOs, I thought it would be kind of cool tonight to talk some UFO ships and aliens with our buddy, who is the true captain of the Woo Train. R Keith Andrews, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
Dude, not bad at all. And thanks for having me, and thanks to the audience for joining us again.
They love you, my friend. They absolutely love you. So I got to ask you, since the last time you were on, any interesting alien experiences?
Oh, there's a whole lot of shit going on. This whole idea that they're coming, that people are talking about full disclosure coming, they are still like off-world. They are still very convinced this is a bad idea because mankind is not ready. It's one thing to believe in it. It's one thing to have individuals knowing about it and dealing with it as a community. It's another for everybody to find out about it.
Explain that. Obviously, you have been talking with your senior alien people around somewhere. So fill us in on that, man.
Well, ultimately, it boils down to this. Mankind has built their entire civilization around being alone. Okay, around being independent in this world, in this universe. Which means they built their entire religious structure, their entire spiritual structure, and their entire geoeconomic system, all around being on their own and being the only ones worried about this planet. And sadly, obviously not as worried as I should be, but the reality is if all of a sudden off-worlders show up here en masse, I mean, picture what would happen if aliens dropped in on the Vatican.
Maybe they already have.
Well, they have, but they're not. But the Pope and what have you aren't about to admit it because it would take their entire concept that they've been working with, and they'd have to rewrite the entire thing.
Why?
Well, because what they've been teaching isn't entirely accurate. especially not if you talk about it, if you talk to the off-worlders about it. Now, the reality is people will believe what they will. But I know from a number of people I've talked to that it's one thing to believe in off-worlders. It's one thing to believe in aliens and to believe in the whole 9 yards. It's another to come face to face with them.
Very true. Very true. Now, this line of disclosure that we are potentially going to see here, who is in control of it? Is it the mankind or is it the aliens? Because obviously the aliens aren't going to bow down to us peon humans.
And that's the whole catch. It's mankind that is propagating this whole thing. But the problem is that mankind can go, they're going, the aliens will show up at such and such a location. And we can have all the video crews out you'd like. If the aliens decide they're not showing up, mankind's got no way to work with it.
Right.
Okay. And, frankly, I would be very surprised if the off-worlders turn around and go, yeah, let's reveal it. Because the shockwave, the xenoeconomic shockwave would be absolutely mind-boggling. It would make the crash of 29 look like a minor hiccup.
So you are of the understanding, if I get it correct, that you believe there is going to be an entire economic collapse if they announce aliens are real and here.
If they were to do it the way that they're talking about doing it, yeah, quite frankly, the panic would be absolutely incalculable. Now, don't get me wrong. People are decent people. But people panic at the drop of a hat. And it's one thing to think in terms of an off-worlder, and you can have a human-looking, like if we were to have a Mobian show up, Mobians, which are literally humans, okay, if they were to show up, nobody would worry about it because they blend right in. They go, I'm a Mobian, and humans would go, whatever. You bring a Strazazian or worse, an Udina, in and have him show up on the doorstep, show him up. The people that saw him up close and personal, like for instance, let's say he showed up on Fifth Avenue, New York. The people on Fifth Avenue, New York would have an absolute panic. The people that were watching it on TV would chalk it up to a Hollywood stunt. To a movie stunt.
Very true. So how do we tell the difference? Like what kind of game, from an alien point of view, because I know you are in contact on an almost daily basis. From an alien point of view, what's the narrative being played here? Have they told you?
They haven't told me what they're up to, but my understanding from the rumors I've gotten from some of the people is that they won't be revealing themselves in the way that mankind thinks they will be. Mankind is painting a beautiful picture of we're going to reveal the truth. Only the problem is it's kind of like mankind doing all the research and going, based on modern physics, bumblebees can't fly. Only mankind forgot to tell the bumblebee. Mankind's doing the same thing with the aliens. We're going to reveal this. We're going to have them show up. We're going to let everybody know they're really here. Right. Now, picture what happens when the major governments turn around and go, they're really here. Okay. And let's just say they don't show up. Now mankind has the problem of, well, you said they were here. Where's your proof? Now you've got an absolute disaster on your hands. Because the off-worlders are not... See, mankind still has this brilliant idea. Let's shoot at them and then ask them if they're friendly. Now, I know from
we're good at that. We are very good at that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, where it comes to the technology the off-worlders have, they're throwing BB guns. They're throwing BB pellets at an armored tank and hoping to make a dent. This is...
Well, you know what, Keith? Let's take a step back here for a second, okay? Because normally we start the show with you talking about how you got into this, because every time we get into this, and you're looking more Albert Einstein every time I see you, my friend, it is absolutely beautiful. It really is.
My IQ were that high.
I'm curious for you. Let our audience know, who may not be familiar with you, how you became so in tune with extraterrestrials.
Well, in a nutshell, the day I was born, I was actually born mottled green and black, which net result ended up with me being dropped into an incubator. And that very long story cut short, I didn't like it, so I left. As a newborn, I figured out how to astral travel, so I pulled out and left. Well, I ran into the council at 12, right at that point. And after they flat out told me I could not leave, I had a job to do, right, they sent me back. And since then, I've been dealing with them virtually on a daily basis. Usually, I end up going 3 times a week, even to the point that my son has noticed me going missing on occasion. And trust me on this one, that makes him a little edgy.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So for you, when you were taken, how often is it happening?
Well, given the amount of memories I've gotten, what have you, it is still happening at this point 2 to 3 times a week, but it's not always dealing with human interaction. See, I end up going up there to deal with them to help them understand each other. Humans aren't the only race that have trouble interacting with off-worlders. I mean, you want an argument, you should see what happens when you put Teklek and a Strazazian in the middle of the same room and then throw a Tormenon in there with them. They're all reptilian. All 3 of those races are reptilian. But they do not necessarily get along. So I end up working with helping them understand how each other is thinking. And answer to that neat little question, how do you know? The best way I can put it is I'm what's called an uncontrolled telepath. Meaning I can pick up what they're feeling and the intention behind what they're feeling. I don't exactly control it. It just comes. And therefore I, if you will, read between the lines really quick. But understanding the cultures of the different races makes it extremely easy to point out where they're having hiccups. It's kind of like if you take humans that live in the Amazon and you try and get them to understand humans living in the Arctic. They have 2 very different outlooks. They've got common ground, but their whole concept of environmental factors is a whole different problem. Okay, so what I end up doing is helping them understand the environmental factors and why they look at the world the way they do.
What is the importance of the planet Earth to these extraterrestrials? Why are they hanging out there? Why are they coming here?
That's the easy part. Earth itself, from when you take a look at it on the galactic scale, Earth itself amounts to this sector's Library of Alexandria. The data that is stored in the genes of every living entity on this planet is information that they use for tracking what's going on and for seeing what the shockwave is of the xenoeconomic evolution. And of course, because mankind is at that point where they are just about to jump, they're at the point of either tearing the planet apart again, or more to the point, tearing civilization apart again, or getting their head on straight and actually starting to work together. Because it's at that point, this is why the races are starting to congregate, is to watch how this fledgling civilization actually handles the transition. We've hit this point. This is not the first time in human history that mankind has gotten off the planet.
Explain that. Go into detail on that.
About 40,000 years ago, the Lemurians got into outer space. They actually colonized Mobius. And then back in ancient Greece, they also got to orbit. Okay. Ancient Greece and ancient Egypt were both very well developed on the scientific field. Problem is, the mankind doesn't understand what they're looking at. You take a look at the hieroglyphics from ancient Egypt. When you look at the energy flow through them, they are very similar. They are very, very similar to computer circuit boards. Okay. Same as when you take a look at some of these sites. For instance, Stonehenge. The energy pattern in Stonehenge has a definitive signature to it that mankind's technology doesn't pick up yet. See, everybody, when you look at Stonehenge, everybody's been questioning what the heck it's for. What they don't realize is it's also a docking base. It's a landing pad. And yes, I realize the size of Stonehenge, which gives you an idea of the size ship they used to set on it.
True. Hey, let's get to our questions from our audience, because we love the audience participation around here when you are here. So if you want to ask Keith a question, please put your questions in capital letters in one of our chat rooms or on Twitter if you don't mind. We'd really appreciate it. This one comes from Joe, who apparently likes pickles tonight, and he is saying, do aliens listen to Spaced Out Radio?
That is an unequivocal yes. You and I actually had that discussion within the first day, a month or two that we were on the radio together. These guys have been watching Spaced Out. They watch a few others, but they've stuck with Spaced Out for one reason. And that is because Dave has been doing a phenomenal job in bringing the information to light. And of course, Carl showing up on your doorstep didn't hurt.
That was kind of cool. Still like that. All right. I'm going to, let's see here. See if I can do this, Keith, because I'm going to try something here for you. Okay. This came across on Twitter. Okay. And I'm going to share our screen here, so that way our YouTube channel can see it as well. All right. And this also follows up with a question. So I want you to take a good look at that, Keith. And this question comes from Greg. 1 second here. Let's see if I can get the question here. Hold on. All right. The question is, Keith, what do you think about this? If you could see it, which I believe you can.
If we're looking at an elbow, I can.
Yeah, but you see the bumps there.
Yes, I do.
Okay, he's asking, he says it can only be seen in a certain light. What do you think that is, Keith?
Oh, that's the easy part. And I'll tell you, the guy that did that probably got reprimanded like there was no tomorrow. Because that's a double impact from a Dexel Spinalizer. The Gray's hybridization tool. They use it for cellular extraction and implantation at the same time. But the reason I say he probably got reprimanded for it is because that looks like he got hit twice, meaning whoever tried it mucked it up the first time.
Oh, look at that. It was an error.
Yeah, you don't see them very often.
Well, there you go. So for people on our radio screen, our radio channels, what we're staring at here is a person's elbow, and there's 5 bumps that almost look like the 2 top parts of a triangle, the pointy part and the 2 lines going down. And then right below, there's like a curved set of bumps that almost looks like a letter J or a backwards L. So it's kind of weird, and it's all separate types of bumps. And I mean, a lot of people may look at that, Keith, and say maybe it's warts, maybe it's bug bites, maybe it's something else, acne or rash or something. How do we tell the difference?
From my standpoint, the energy pattern's all wrong for it to be a rash. Okay, I can actually, because of the way my eyes work, I can see the impact point. Okay, and by the way, there's not 5 dots there, there's 6. That's why I said you're looking at a double impact.
Gotcha.
See, the Dental Spinalizer uses an equilateral triangle with a horizontal bar at the base of it. The horizontal bar is where they put the bio tracker in.
So basically, what you're saying is, Greg here on Twitter has been implanted.
Oh, I would lay odds on it.
So he's got aliens himself.
Well, I don't know what he's got in his closet.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right. Let's see if we have any more questions here for you from our audience as we start to get warmed up here on Spaced Out Radio. Greco, all the way in Toronto, is asking, can aliens extract genetic memory from random human DNA?
Well, technically from random, no, because they literally have to specifically target a given human. But can they extract memory from it, from a human? The answer is yes. And it is that memory extraction that they use to put an implant to put an overlay in people so that they can get back to a relatively normal life. I.e., they pull a memory and go, okay, that's one that fits similar to the world. We can do a little tweaking, and the person will think that they saw the same thing all over again. They won't recognize the fact they were taken. Unless you got people like the last person who showed you the elbow, at which point they leave a marker behind.
True.
You know?
Very, very true. I can totally see that, my friend. I can totally see where you're going with that. All right. And let's see here. Let's get to another question. Actually, we'll stick with Greco here. And Greco is asking, is abducting humans something that was negotiated with the federal government?
Certainly not in the beginning. There was no federal government when the off-worlders started abducting humans. Now, my understanding, and of course, the federal governments don't exactly, shall we say, keep me in the loop. But it would not be a shock. But considering that it started before mankind even became a dominant race, we can safely say the governments were not responsible for the starting point.
All right, let's move to Aurea Marie, who is asking, have we hit critical mass to upgrade, or will we be tearing civilization down again? You have 1 minute.
That depends entirely on whether humans get the message. They're all the same species, and if they work together, the civilization will upgrade. If they keep the wars up and what have you, they'll tear the planet apart again.
Well, that's just pleasant, isn't it? Absolutely pleasant. Way to keep the positivity going there, Keith.
Oh, I'm absolutely positive if they don't get their act together, they'll tear civilization apart.
Okay, quickly here. Jeremy is asking, indica or sativa? I don't know what the hell that means.
I was going to ask the same thing.
All right. Moving on, Umber is asking, is Alberta a hotspot for UFO sightings?
That depends on the location in Alberta and the time of year.
Drumheller has a lot. I know Fort McMurray has a lot. Edmonton has a lot.
Yeah. Calgary, not so much so.
No, but they're Flames fans there, so we don't need to worry about that. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection happens the first week of each month here on Spaced Out Radio, where we board the woo train and take your questions of all things extraterrestrial. Stay tuned, sit back, relax, enjoy the woo on Spaced Out Radio. All right, quick comment here quickly is on my StreamYard here that I am using, I have stopped the chat on my end there, so it's still going to be rolling on YouTube for you guys. Okay, I'm pointing up there because that's where my YouTube screen is. But on my end for the chat room, I've stopped the chat room because I am going through the questions as quickly as I can. If I miss your question, give me a break. Just retype it if you don't mind. Don't type it 7, 8, 9 times. Just once or twice is good, and I should be able to get to that. Keith, let's get to a couple more questions here while we're waiting, and that way I could catch up in the chat room. And Greg is asking, how do you encounter, or have you encountered a Men in Black type organization?
Oh yeah, also known as the MyLabs. Not the nicest people, but definitely you're like, as far as the people that actually work with aliens, okay, which is what the Men in Black setup is. Yes, I've run into them, and they're an interesting group. But you will find most of the people working the Men in Black are not the military types. They're what most humans would call eggheads. Okay. Because you just don't go up against the aliens in a combat zone. It's just a bad idea.
Very true. Shar is asking, how do they understand us?
Well, several thousand years of study helps. That and the fact that humans are actually pretty simplistic creatures. There's very minimal motivations involved. There's not a lot of variation. Now, with some of the races, they are telepathic. Okay. Other ones are very much, well, they are what are called xenozoologists. They take a look at mankind as animals. And they just study the behavioral patterns.
Right. Okay, let's move on here. Well, we know Aussie Steve is new because he is asking, who is Carl? April 20th, 2015, at 10:17 p.m. during our show, when we were only a 2-hour show at night, I saw something move out the window, and I put my microphone on mute while my guest, Harvey Kraft, was talking to the audience, answering my question, and I swiveled my chair, turned to my left, looked out the window, which was a couple feet away, and that's where I saw the big gray head and the giant black eyes on the other side of the window staring back at me. So he needed a name, so we named him Carl. Became our mascot right there. All right, Solar Warden says, mentioning size of ships, is Keith familiar with Bill William Tompkins? He talks about massive ships being built after World War II by the Navy.
Well, I know that they're doing it, and many of the ships they're building are patterned after off-worlder, but they are not built by the off-worlders, and they aren't capable of the same speeds.
All right. Guillermo, I hope I pronounced your name properly. I know he's a good Canadian kid, though. Thank you earlier for the super chat. What happens after aliens present themselves?
Now, that depends if we're referring to individual or if we're talking about en masse. Individual people have to adjust to it. You know, and it can be complicated, as many of you know. But if they present themselves in a massive form, like they show in some of these movies of showing up over multiple cities, I believe panic and bedlam is the best way to put it.
That's probably a good way. Okay, Bomber, are Dave and Keith long-lost brothers, twins, asking for a friend? Could be. Could very well be. All right, Greco is asking. We got about a minute here or so. Can aliens... Oh, we already asked that. Sorry. Hi, Lawrence Burchett. Welcome to the channel. Boz Monster, good to see you again, my friend. And as we scroll on down here, trying to catch up. Rooted in Gorgeous Sacredness, how are you? Thank you for joining us. All right. Now I got to go way back up here again. Hide that. I know I missed some questions due to the chat room moving so fast. So if I haven't got to your question yet, do me a favor, retype it. And Paul Holland, we're going to start with your question when we come back here on the show and go from there. And so if I haven't read your question yet, please retype it. Do me that favor. Put it in capital letters. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps me so much. And if I miss your super chat, I apologize. Just let me know in the chat room. Hey, Dave, can I get a shout out for my super chat? Absolutely, you will. I want to say thank you to Andrew, Solar, Mandingo, Cat Chaser, Madison. Can't even read my... Oh, Ozzy Steve, Andrew again, Guillermo, pardon me, Greco, Ed, and Carl for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Thank you to our new subscribers tuning in and all the veterans around for hanging out with us as well. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Revolution Radio. Well, we'll give a shout out there to Dr. Rowe, because it's all Rowe, all day, all darn night long. Yes, that's what he does. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Of course, our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection tonight on the mighty SOR. And Keith, we're going to start off with a question from Paul Holland in Australia. Paul Holland in Australia, who has a plethora of gorgeous guitars, and he's got my dream Les Paul. Yeah, he does. He's asking, if we had a choice of the best alien race to interact with first, which one should we choose?
Well, the most placid of them, the Mobians are the easiest to understand. They came from Earth originally. Okay. But that being said, it's a bit of a toss-up, really. Greys are great people. Little too heavy on the science in my eyes in a lot of ways. But I think, ideally, if I had to look at one, probably the Mobians. You know, Martokians would throw people for a loop. And besides that, they are far more aggressive than what mankind is, which is a scary thought when you think about it. The Venusians, on the other hand, they would be an interesting group because they're very much into the creative side, the artistic side of life, which makes them a lot more peaceable than the others. This is why the Venusians and the Martokians ended up with a treaty between them. The Venusians handle the building. The Martokians handle the military defense in case of emergency.
All right. Malou is asking, I think her first name is Skip2. Malou. Skip2 Malou is asking, how do we all work together when people keep hating? I mean, this is something that the aliens got to be keeping their eyes out on.
This is something that is one of the biggest concerns I have. What people have to realize is that, and this is something I've actually been covering on my YouTube channel, the way to do it, mankind started out, people said the Scottish clans would never get along. You know, Canada and the US would never, like the 13 colonies would never unite, right? People have to realize war has never brought peace. War brings quiet. And when people realize, and I do mean the people that are in the positions of power, hey, let's go to war. When they realize that it's easier to create a more stable society if you're not ducking bullets and bombs. When people get to that point, it is possible to get mankind back to the point where there is no war, there is no famine, and there is no jealousy. Okay, but people...
Imagine all the people, man. Imagine all the people.
Oh, Lord, yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is, when you take a look at it, I used to think that, you know, when people told me that the media put all this negative stuff out, that they were doing it, you know, that mankind, that it was the media doing it. I figured that until the internet hit. And I realized, like, I'm a firm believer that 95% of people on the planet are decent people trying to do decent things. And yet I look at the amount of stuff on the internet, 90% of it is who ripped who off, who murdered who, and who embarrassed who. Clearly, it is the population in general that is causing the problem. And when people start putting their emphasis on the decent things that are going on, that's when mankind starts to get along.
All right, let's move on here. Eugene is asking, Keith, can you communicate with aliens at will?
Well, I can make the effort, let's put it that way. There are times when I'll go to get in touch with them and I just won't get a response. It's kind of like phoning somebody and them not answering the phone. But do I keep tabs on what they're up to? The answer is definitively yes. Okay.
How do you know when you're communicating with them?
Well, because it certainly doesn't come in English. Yeah.
All right. Uncle Dale and his power stash down in Austin, Texas. And remember, if you're in Austin and run into Uncle Dale and rub his mustache, you will get 7 days of good luck. You got to find Dale first. He is asking, how many other planets are in the same state of development and situation as Earth? Dozens, hundreds, thousands? Are the aliens paying as much attention to them as to Earth?
Well, the first question, I can only estimate that we're looking at the same state. We're looking at hundreds. We could be looking at thousands, and the answer to are they paying the same amount of attention as to Earth? The answer is no, because Earth is, like I said, it basically boils down to the Library of Alexandria for this sector. You know, there's only 12 other planets that hold the same kind of information for other sectors in the Milky Way.
All right, let's move on to Stone Hobbit. What are the orange plasma spheres? And have you encountered them in being form?
Give me 10 seconds because I know who you're talking about, and that's why I keep the book handy. Because do I remember names as well as I'd like to? No, I'm still working on that. Well, take my glasses off so I can actually see what I'm looking at. There we go, the Vorosic. And the answer to your question is yes. Nice people, little flighty, but what the heck. But yeah, and they aren't just in orange. Orange, if you're looking at an orange one, you're looking at one lower on the, shall we say, societal or the class level. You know, as far as like we have different economic stations in Earth. The Vorosic have different economic stations as well. But instead of looking at your wallet, you look at their color.
All right.
So you're looking at basically a commoner.
Got you. All right, let's move on here, my friend. Let's go to Greg, who is asking, what is the most important karmic law?
In all fairness, all three are equally important, just as important as every leg on a three-legged stool. But probably the one that people are going to recognize most would be do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. The other two that are equally important are be true to yourself and energy out, energy in. But it's that first one I listed that most people can relate to.
Rue is asking, and welcome to our chat room, I believe, for the first time, Rue. Are Atlanteans alien? If so, what do they look like?
The answer would be yes. Number one, they look they look human. Okay, if they were still here, they could walk amongst you and you probably wouldn't notice, except for the level of their intellect. They would not understand the conflict between man. They just wouldn't get it. They didn't get it when they were here in the first place. But they are very much pacifists. In other words, instead of participating in a fight, and that's why they left, instead of participating in a fight in the first place, they just took off.
Yeah, they just jumped ship. Get out of here. Bye.
Well, actually, the ship left.
Yeah, I know.
And now, granted, when the ship left, there were a lot of them left behind that didn't stay on board.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No, it really wasn't. It was also quite accidental.
I hear you. All right, moving on. Elliot is asking, what is the flying craft on the gimbal video? So it kind of looks like it's got some points on it. It's like a disc with some points at the top and the bottom. What kind of ship is that?
If I understand what you're describing, I would be inclined to say it's a research vessel from the consortium. Now, in all fairness, as I've told many people, especially on this show, have I looked at the gimbal video? No. But if we are talking about a ship that is spiked with all kinds of spires and what look like, different spikes and what have you coming off it, that is probably a research vessel of theirs. Of the consortium itself, not of one given race.
416 Bitcoin is asking, Keith, what are your thoughts on AI and ETs?
Well, number one, AI is just a categorical bad idea. Okay. Simulated AI, in other words, a computer that is capable of calculating at a staggering level, is a great idea. But true AI is a good way to write the human race off. Or for that matter, any other race. The off-worlders don't use true AI computers except one race. Okay. And that race is automated. They are AI computers. So technically they don't use them so much as give birth to them.
All right. Stone is asking, I already asked that, sorry. And let's see here. Mandingo from New Zealand. Keith, how do you know so much? Are you not concerned you may be taken out by the powers that be?
That's already been done once. So, that being said, not anymore. As far as how do I know so much about it? Well, I'm 58 years old and I've been doing it since the day I was born. I get along with them better than I get along with most people. That'd be the easy answer.
Boss Monster is asking, which alien species has the biggest butt and cannot lie?
Yeah. I think that's the song. But I have yet to find an alien that cannot lie. Okay.
Go ahead, finish up.
As a species, every individual can lie. Some will, as the saying goes, some will, some won't, some may, some do, some don't, some might. But the reality of it is, lying is not a human isolated experience.
All right.
Let's get as far as who's got the biggest butts. Well, the Anunnaki probably have some of the bigger butts. Of course, the Anunnaki are bipedal and they happen to be in excess of 20 feet tall, which might explain that.
Jar is asking, why don't you believe that aliens want to take over humans?
Because if they wanted to, I had a discussion with their war council at one point. If they wanted to take over Earth, it'd be done very simply. They'd start from the outside, from beyond the orbit of Mars. They would fire a triphasic EMP pulse that not only would wipe out all of the existing electronics, it would shatter the structural integrity of all electronic components that weren't even put together. Then they'd come into the orbit to just the other side of the moon, and they'd stop and start dropping the satellites that we've left around our own planet, which works out to kind of like nuclear bombs being dropped without them firing a shot at us. After they finish dropping down the 3,500 or so satellites, then they make landfall. And that's assuming they want any of the humans alive. Out of there, they fire their main gun off and Earth just ceases to exist.
Either way, if they've been coming here for thousands of years or even for the last 70 years since Roswell, and they haven't taken us over yet, and they've got the technology to get here, I highly doubt they're here to kill us.
They're not here to kill us, and they're not here to take over any government. Human governments are screwing themselves up royally on their own. They don't need help. Well,
Very
they need
true.
help, just not to screw it up.
Gabe is asking, are there artificial intelligence aliens like robots and stuff?
Absolutely. However, I think what he's asking are, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what he's asking are the ones that have been dropped down here as spy bots or what have you. And to the best of my knowledge, no. But they certainly use technology and what have you.
Nikki is asking, do you know anything about the current space bridge that is being built by the ETs?
It's not physical and it's not being built by them. It's being utilized by them. We call it a wormhole. And wormholes have been used for travel for millions of years. This is one of the reasons why they can go from one side of the galaxy to the other in a heartbeat.
Bee Gees is asking, how many civilization resets has Earth been through?
That I can think of right offhand? 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably half a dozen anyway, and not all of them were human. See, about 40,000 years ago, mankind wiped itself out quite by accident. Of course, as we know, the Roman Empire collapsed, the Egyptian Empire collapsed. The entire setup as far as ancient Rome or ancient Greece collapsed. And then we can go back into the ancient races, and you've got a number of resets that have happened there, where people did not get along as well as they needed to. Net result, they bombed themselves back into the Stone Age. See, the funny thing is, with mankind, if we do it this time, we don't even have physical record of most of the stuff that we've accomplished. Most of it is electronic now. And you fire off an EMP pulse and you wipe out a chunk of computers, and that data is gone.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Greco is asking, are vegetarian humans the equivalent of Viagra to man-eating aliens? Where do you come up? Hold on. Where do you come up with this, Greco? See, Greco owns a Greek restaurant in Toronto somewhere. He'll never tell me the name of it, so I can promote it for him. But
okay.
I think he's had too much ouzo tonight. I think he has.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few races that, frankly, some would like vegetarian humans more than others, but in all fairness, those are very rare because usually the ones that are planning on eating humans are not interested in vegetarian diets. It's not like having grain-fed cattle for them.
All right. Yola Tango is asking, have you ever had any alien parasites you brought back with you? What is the worst space parasite you've encountered?
Well, the Archons are an annoying race. Technically, humans would call them a parasite. Okay. But you got to remember that the Archons, and whether I brought them back or not, highly improbable. Possible, but not likely, considering the fact, as far as I'm aware, I'm still thinking the way I always have. But as they grow older, they start off the size of a small, about a half a paramecium, maybe an amoeba. When they evolve, they end up evolving to larger than a planet.
Ed Clater is asking, what about interdimensional beings? What's up with them?
It's a fascinating topic. Quite frankly, everything that exists that I've come across, everything that exists that can interact with Earth is third dimensional. It's not fourth, it's not fifth, it's not seventh, it's third. Now, there are many that are at a different vibratory rate. They move so fast as to become invisible, as to become non-corporeal, but they aren't a different dimension.
Right. All right. Jay Breezy is asking. We're burning through the questions here, man. So we got about 3.5 minutes to go before we go to break at the top of the hour. Keith, do you have any thoughts on inner Earth civilizations?
Yeah. What most people call myth. There are many of them that actually live inside the Earth. Okay. And that is one place you don't want to try and conquer. They voluntarily went down there because mankind was reproducing too fast and was far too aggressive. But the ancient races that are living there, you just don't want to tangle with them.
So a lot of big debate right now, too, as to whether or not a lot of these sightings that the U.S. government is having, if they're from inner Earth.
And many of them are.
That is one of the possibilities right now. Let's move on. Yola Tango is asking, is there an intelligent race of giant sea monsters in our oceans, like a society of leviathans in the deep?
Yep. I guess you want more than that.
Always do, buddy. Always do.
Number one, there are what are called elementals, right? If you ever watched the show The Abyss, you remember that funny little critter, that funny little water-looking critter that came into the ship? Okay, and when you go down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, you'll find quite the civilization down there. Many of the animals down there, they're bioluminescent, and that is where the aquatic elephant race lives. Plus, of course, you do have people have said the manatee are what sailors were seeing as mermen, and they aren't. The manatee look similar, but mermen or the Spaniards are real.
Right. Okay. We've got 90 seconds. 5,900 Buck is asking, are aliens spiritually ahead of us or the same?
They're about the same place. They're having many of the same issues. They just got better toys.
Patrick is asking, who created the aliens?
Ironically, I guess it'd be one race before the Zerziks. Okay, because the original, what many people would call God, created the whole 9 yards. Okay, whether you call it the God source or as many of them call it the prime originator, they all came from the same place originally. But we are talking billions of years in the past.
All right, let's go with America's Quilt. We got 45 seconds. Have you ever seen a 7-foot lizard with mind-wiping capabilities? How many people like me have experienced this? A lot of a little, and are they malevolent or not?
7 foot would make it the Thrazazian or the Tormenon. And the answer to that would be yes. Do they have mind-wiping capability? Technologically speaking, the answer is yes. I have no clue how many. Okay, how many people have dealt with it? I've got no way of giving you a guesstimation on that one.
Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour where R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues right after this, where we take questions from the audience. You got to be in one of our chat rooms or on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio to check us on out and ask Keith questions. But it's a full night of woo from the captain of the woo train, Mr. R Keith Andrews, who is based out of British Columbia, just south of me in the lovely Okanagan city of Kelowna. Yes, the ET Connection with R Keith continues on the mighty SOR right after this. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the woo. Big thank you to both Evil Carl and Yola Tango for the super chats. I'll get to the rest of them there. Keith, I've stopped the chat room for right now on my end, and I'll try and catch up when we get back. I'm just going to run my dogs outside. I'll be right back, okay?
Okie doke.
All right, I'll be right back, my friend. And yeah, okay, I'll be right back. Dave Scott.
Okay.
Spaced Out Radio. Be right back. All right, Keith, I am back.
Well, that worked out well. While we're on break, work phone, and I logged out.
Oh, good. Okay. Ozzy, Steve is asking, is mankind facing the Great Reset?
It's our choice at this point.
All right. Nikki is asking, what I was told was that there was a new space bridge actually being built by ETs, but it wasn't via a wormhole. I was shocked.
Well, it's an interesting idea. I mean, the reality is they have transporters already.
Yeah.
They've already got, it's not that they're being built, they've already got them.
Sorry.
It's okay, we'll forgive you.
Oh, my sinuses are acting up. Jeff A., yes, I am actually in guitar lessons now. I had lesson number 2 yesterday, and I am practicing. This is my new one right here. I love that one. Hi there, The Quick. Nice to see you. And let's see who else is in here. Gorgeous Helena. Let's see here. Hey, just in case. I know I've missed a bunch of questions. And Jeremy, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate that, along with Yola Tango and Carl a couple of times, Andrew a couple of times, Mandingo, Solar Warden, Cat Chaser, Madison, Aussie Steve, Guillermo, Greco, Ed, and thank you so much for the amazing super chats, everyone. Really do appreciate the love and support. Chris Mo and Big J, how are you, my friends? Good to see you guys. Oh, hey, Clam. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. All right, I know I'm missing some questions here, so if you do me a favor, just retype them. Thank you to everybody tuning in tonight. And Cedric, how you doing? Good to see you. Smoking Joe, nice to have you here. And Witchy, welcome back. Good to have you here. And gorgeous Manitoba Becky.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. I really want to say I appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Daedalist. There we go. Daedalist is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection are here tonight on the mighty SOR, answering all weird, strange questions regarding extraterrestrials at ET Contact. Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, a week ago, we had Ivan Teller on here. He is a channeler, and he said he actually channeled Carl. Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought it was actually kind of cool because there were a couple things that he had stated that really coincided with what you had told me previous. And it was in private, not on the air, but in private. And I thought it was really cool. But one of the things that he was supposed to do, Ivan that is tell us what Carl's real name is, not his human nickname of Carl. Do you know that answer there, Keith?
Well, technically the answer would be yes. However, trying to repeat it is another problem altogether.
So you're not going to tell us, is what you're saying.
Not the way my throat is right now.
All right.
You remember that little conversation we had?
Yes. All right. Let's move on to Solar Warden. What's going on in Antarctica? Bases, ships under the ice. What do you know about Operation High Jump, Keith?
I have no idea what Operation High Jump is. However, the ships under the ice, that's another issue altogether. Number one, the off-worlders or the ancient races, some of them have technology, and the off-worlders have got some connection with some of the ancient races, so therefore they use the Antarctic as a staging zone. So yeah, they definitively will end up parking their ships out of sight. Neat part with some of their ships is they can literally phase through the ice into an ice cavern that is a royal pain to get to because it's under about 10 miles of ice.
10 miles. A lot of ice, man. It's a lot of drinks you can fill. A lot of drinks you can fill. Okay, Greg is asking, do shadow walkers have feet? Would they make noise when walking over gravel?
Shadow walkers do have feet, and they can walk across gravel without disturbing the gravel. So do they make noise walking over gravel? Not if they don't want to. And usually if they're hunting, they don't want to.
What's their purpose?
Well, in human terms, they're vampires. So their purpose is pretty simple. They want to live.
All right. We got a brand new listener who's come in the chat room this week. His name is Gabe, and this is his first time hearing you. And he's wondering, Keith, how do you get all of this information? I know you answer this question quite a bit, but once again, new listener, we got to ask it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. All of the information I work with is firsthand, as in it's what I've personally come across. I don't research it. I don't do a whole pile of talking to find out what other people have gone through. It's all stuff I've run across myself. Because I started off as an escapee, ended up as an abductee, turned into a contactee, and then became a consultant. So, I mean, I end up with a very, shall we say, unique outlook.
Makes sense. The Philip Matlock is asking, Keith, how many different types of spaceships are there?
I have no way of giving you an answer to that. Heck, I can't tell you how many different planes there are on different types of planes there are on Earth. You know, I've identified, I think, about a dozen primaries, but there are all kinds of little shuttles and little hoppers from multiple different races, so I have no way of telling you that. I mean, heck, I couldn't even tell you how many different types of skateboards there are on Earth.
A lot. We got a better chance with guitars, my friend.
Yeah, you probably do. Mine too. I'm out of my league on that one too.
Fapster is asking, Keith, did aliens take flight MH370?
No. As far as I understand, it wasn't taken. It hit a wormhole. There are wormholes on Earth that are not stable. Okay, and as near as I can piece it together, they hit a wormhole, and the odds of them ever showing and finding any sign of that ship are slim to non-existent. See, the off-worlders, if they want somebody off the ship, they won't take the ship.
Tammy is asking, Keith, do you think something is coming and the government is trying to get ahead of it?
I have no doubt that is the case. Problem is that they're trying to get ahead of something. They've got no clue what it is or how to cope with it. So basically, they're throwing a whole pile of chaff in the air, trying to make it look like they know what they're doing.
See, I see that a little bit differently. I think that a date has been set. I think the government knows about a date that's been set, and that date is for extraterrestrials actually showing themselves, making their official presence. And what they are trying to do is they are trying to warm us up to the idea that off-world technology is here. This is why they have separated extraterrestrials from the UFO conversation in the media. They don't want to deal with that because they know that people cannot and will not be ready for that. Therefore, you've got a number of years. Let's say it's 30 years, Tammy. Let's say it's 30 years. And in 30 years, there's going to be a full generation of people, maybe a generation and a half, that has died off. And if you look at all the younger people that are coming into this world, they're a lot more spiritually open. They're a lot more connected to their inner selves. They're a lot more connected to the possibilities that we are not alone. They'll be more ready than, say, somebody in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who grew up in a very enclosed household, whether it was a religious household or just a five senses type of household. And that's that. So that's what I think is happening. Keith, would you concur? Or do you think I'm wrong?
I would say that is a reasonable assessment. You know, when you start looking that far down the road, and you are right. I don't know if they're more spiritually aware, but they're certainly more open to the concept of non-humans. And not, you let the older generations pass away, and the ones that are coming up, your 3 and 4 year olds that are growing up, seeing this sort of thing, and having the government come out and say, "Hey, these are things that were classified before." I do agree with you that it is if you will, a soft sell to start with. Get people used to the idea of the alien technology. We'll introduce the actual people behind it later.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on to another question. This one comes from Carla, who is asking, are spaceships that we are seeing then old technology?
Not always. Some of them are new that have just come into the area, because there are some races that haven't been here before. Okay. But, some of the stuff is old, but the majority of it is what they call modern.
How many different species, like new species, are coming here at the same time? Because I can just imagine our signal goes very, very far. Never mind the vibration the Earth gives off, but I mean, we've got satellites like Voyager, which is near the end of the solar system.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this thinking we're giving off one hell of a big signal. Very big signal.
And it is drawing new races. I would be inclined to say you're looking quite literally, where it comes to races, not that have necessarily got here already, but that are on their way. You're undoubtedly looking at thousands. However, that said, they're coming into an area that is already controlled by the consortium, meaning they will not be coming in here on an aggressive front.
Right. Okay. Let's move on here. Guillermo is asking, how would you interpret the 3 stels of Seth? Do you know what those are?
I know what he's referring to, but unfortunately, I have not looked into them yet. If he can send me a synopsis of them, that'd be great. But I'd lay odds that, like the other religions that I've followed, that I've looked into, those 3 stels probably fall into the 3 karmic laws. They are probably encompassed by them.
All right. So for people who don't know,
Dave, my understanding of that is basically they are the 3 laws of Seth.
No, they are 3 hymns written in adoration for the more abstract being Barbello.
Okay. I haven't listened to them.
Me either. Okay, let's move on tonight. And let's go to Don's question. Has there been an uptick in activity in the past couple of weeks, or am I just noticing more?
Well, I would be inclined to say you're noticing more, because my understanding is that the frequency has been pretty stable. The one variation on that, and I just don't have the answer for it, is it is a proven fact that every time Mars hits its closest point to Earth, the activity just about triples. But that's because when Mars gets within striking distance of Earth, they send the students down here to watch. Basically, it's a class outing.
All right. Evil Carl is asking, can you have scars that make a star's constellation on your body? Scars, not stars. Like, he says, I have some dots on my forehead that looks like a star constellation.
Is it possible? The answer is definitively yes. I think what he's asking is, was it put there by somebody?
I would agree with you.
The reality is it possible for a scar to take that kind of configuration? The answer is yes. However, it is much more likely that you're dealing with somebody leaving a roadmap. But that would be somebody that has targeted his family directly and said, we want to track this. Now, that said, I do not feel he is in any danger at all, nor anybody in his family.
All right, perfect. Let's move on. Greg is asking, sometimes my heart and my brain are telling me to take different paths. Which do I follow?
That is one of the more intelligent questions I get where it comes to, not with the ETs, but just across the board. The way it was put to me, I asked that question myself of my mentor. And he put it this way. When your heart and your head are in conflict, follow your heart, but use your head to get there. You know, take the whole idea that things are not possible and throw them right out the window. If you've got an area that your heart wants to go, providing it is not violating any of the 3 karmic laws, then follow your heart, but think your way through it to make sure you do it right.
All right. America's Quilt is asking, did President Eisenhower make a trade of humans for technology, a.k.a. the Greatheath Treaty?
It wouldn't surprise me. The only ones I can see him making that kind of a treaty with would be either the Teklek or the Tormenon. I guess technically he could have done with the Greys, but do I know one way or the other? Frankly, I never sat down and talked to Eisenhower. So do I know for certain what he was up to? Myself, no. But the understanding I have from the consortium is that they did not swap off humans for technology because much as they could put the humans to use, they weren't about to turn the upper echelon of technology over to a warring race, which would offset the balance on the planet.
All right, let's move on here. Eulelio is asking, are the aliens in judgment with the humans on Earth? What do we do on Earth that will pass judgment on the aliens for not trying hard enough to convince ourselves of all our evil ways?
Well, 2 factors. 1, the aliens aren't here to judge humans about anything. Individual aliens may have their own opinions, but they are not here as judge, jury, and executioner at all. Number 2, the fact that humans are starting to question and starting to recognize that their methods are not conducive to evolution, to societal advancement, is what needs to happen. People have to get the message that everybody is starting from the exact same place. And if you work together, you can avoid a whole lot of problems. Because I'll tell you, technological advances are a lot easier if you're not ducking bullets and bombs.
Don is asking, are aliens peeved at Elon Musk for all of these satellites?
Elon Musk is not the one that started putting this. So the answer is no. He's not the one that started putting the satellites up. Mankind did that before Elon was born. Like, they started putting them up there. But do they question the intelligence of leaving your garbage floating around in orbit where it has the potential of dropping back on your own head? They do question that. It's kind of like grabbing a water hose and spraying it straight up in the air and hoping you don't get wet.
That happens.
It does, but not very often. Usually if you spray it straight up in the air, it ends up landing on you.
Right on. Right on. All right, let's get to Witchy. And Witchy is asking, what are the triangle ships that let smaller red ones out that shoot in all directions? I saw this last year. The most clear UFO I've seen. Was surprised no one else reported it in Auckland. Oh, you're in New Zealand too. Well, welcome to the show, Witchy. Welcome all the way from New Zealand.
Those belong to the consortium. They are, and sad to say, those are quite often your abduction vessels. Okay. The big one is what would amount to not a mothership, but a transport ship for the smaller collection units. The little ships carry 5 people. Okay, more often than not, it's a couple of Greys and a few Nords.
I hear you. All right, let's move on. Stephanie is asking, should we be afraid of reptilians? I'm scared. Or am I wrong?
The only reptilians I would recommend avoiding is do not ask to go to dinner with a Teklek. It's a bad idea. Tekleks are 3.5, or 4.5, 5.5 feet long, about 3.5 feet high, and they find humans really tasty. But most reptilians are, number one, non-aggressive. So no, being afraid of them that comes from, as near as I can figure, a wonderful show back in the late 70s, early 80s by the name of V. And no, the reptilians are not. One of my best friends is a Strazazian. The guy punches 8 feet. And I mean, they're nice people on the whole. And before they interact with humans, they are trained to handle them. And I do mean that as in trained to be able to deal with them without tearing their arm off.
All right.
I don't blame her for being scared. I mean, they are, especially if you ever watch a reptilian smile. I mean, yeah, exactly.
All right. Oumuamua is asking, is Skinwalker Ranch a portal?
One of these days, I'm going to have to look into Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, you don't pay attention to Skinwalker Ranch.
No, I don't.
I would say that there are portals there. I'll take this one, Keith.
Okay.
I would say that I believe there are portals there. Brandon Fugel, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, believes that is happening too. And there is some sort of transdimensional happenings there as well that they can't seem to get their fingers on. But yes, I think it's like a portal or a doorway opening over Skinwalker Ranch that lets everything woo in. That's what I think's happening there.
And that would make total sense from my standpoint.
Eulalio is asking, do you think the aliens are fallen angels being deceptive and getting us ready for revelation to come?
Not in the slightest. Number one, the Angelis themselves are what humans see as angels. But they are about as honest as they get. They'll tell you they're going to take your arm off. They're very, very direct about it. If they're upset, they'll let you know.
All right, we got 1 minute, Keith, so I'll let you finish.
Okay. Basically, the Angelis and the Daemons, for that matter, are told one thing very specific. Be honest. If you're going to tell people something, back it up. Okay, so are they being deceptive? Not in the slightest.
Marcel is asking, and welcome to our chat room for the first time, Marcel. Do you think the Canadian province of Newfoundland was once part of Atlantis?
They had an outpost there. But was it part of Atlantis? It was essentially, if you will, it was I guess you could call it a way station or a beach house.
Beach house. That's very nice.
They didn't stay in Atlantis all the time. They sometimes went to the neighboring areas.
True. I could see that. I could totally see that. All right, my friend, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Near the beginning of each month, we bring in our resident ET specialist, R Keith Andrews, for the ET Connection. Yes, a lifelong experiencer. Keith takes us around the world of woo on the woo train that he captains, talking everything extraterrestrial. We'll be back with more R Keith and the woo train right after this on Spaced Out Radio. You got your game going tonight, man.
I was going to say, I didn't have a game going, but thanks.
All right. Give me 2 seconds here because, It is that time of the night again where we want to introduce you to one of our sponsors, Mighty Moose Beard Oil. Yes, I am using the Winter Blend tonight. This is my favorite one, made by Gary the Dutchman in his home in Chilliwack, British Columbia. And trust me, if you use promo code SOR2019, you're going to get Gary the Dutchman really pissed off because Dutch people don't like giving deals on anything. But he will grant you the one wish of using promo code SOR2019 to make sure your beard or hair is flowing beautifully. Go to mightymoosebeard.com. All prices are in Canadian dollars. Let me show you how it works. We just come here like so, give a little squeeze. Take that, throw that in your hand like so, and then you just massage it in. Massage it in. That's it. That's it. Done. That quick. Then for the ladies or the men, if you got nice hair or no hair, you can just massage it into your scalp. Yeah, it's good for your hair. It's all natural. No chemicals. Helps with split ends. Keeps your hair naturally oily. It joins everything in, and you look beautiful. You look beautiful. I mean, this wouldn't work for someone like Fap or Vinny. No, wouldn't work for them, but it would work for you. All right? So mightymoosebeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019. Remember, you're paying Canadian funds, which means if you're in the United States, it's like $3 for a $20 Canadian bottle. I don't know what the exchange rate is, but your money's always kicking our ass. So there you go. Go for it. All right, Keith, let's burn through some more questions here while we're waiting. All right?
Fire away.
Jason is asking, have exotic artifacts or craft been found from an archaeological dig?
Yes. I cannot tell you which, but I can tell you it's simply a matter of numbers. They've gone through enough archaeological digs, and I know of a few that they found as far as skeletons and what have you. Plus some technology that they really don't know what it is at this point. That humans haven't totally pieced together just yet.
True. Kira is asking, have you heard of humans that have giant radio-type antennae into space? And what are those for? And is this a human hybrid? Humans with antennae.
Have I heard of them? Yes, but giant? That's where I run into the problem. I mean, they're human-sized. They were actually, and this is one of those races I'm actually putting in volume 2. Right, I've got the information somewhere, but what she's referring to was actually identified in Star Trek, the Andorian. But they're not radio antenna. They are a telepathic booster.
Okay. Fap is asking, if I cut Dave's Achilles tendons and ran faster than Dave, would the aliens eat Dave first?
That depends on which aliens. Knowing Dave's contacts, it's more likely they'll stop putting back together and hunt you down and beat you to a pulp.
Yes, because I got friends in high places.
Yeah.
Polar Eclipse is asking, we got about a minute and a half here. Did we really make a helicopter drone fly on Mars?
Wouldn't be a shock from my end. They've had drones on Mars since the 70s.
There you go. Kira, are there ET implants that feel like something crawling under your skin?
That I'm aware of, it's more likely you're feeling an Archon, which is actually not technically it's an implant, but it's actually a different race. Usually they don't come that high to the surface.
Really? Go ahead.
If she is susceptible or sensitive enough to biomagnetic impulses, she may feel the broadcast of an implant.
All right. 1 minute here. I need you this one done in 30 seconds. Is it possible, this from Rue, is it possible to time travel to the future? If so, can we do it through Dream Realm?
Okay, is it possible to travel to the future? The answer is yes. Through Dream Realm, it really boils down to imagination. But the problem is, if you physically travel to the future, which is possible, you cannot come back.
All right. Leave it right there. Want to say a big thank you to Greg, Stephanie. Can't even read my own writing. Jeremy, pardon me. Yola, Carl, Andrew ×2, Carl ×2, Solar, Mandingo, Cat, Madison, Ozzy, Steve, Guillermo, and Greco and Ed for the super chats tonight. Really do appreciate it. Here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continues tonight on the show, where we're asking audience questions. You got to be in our chat room or on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio. Keith is a lifelong experiencer who now helps counsel people who are having their own alien encounters. Keith, Greco in Toronto has a question. Is there anything on Earth that's harvested as an aphrodisiac to certain alien species?
As an aphrodisiac, not that I'm aware of. However, if Techlex get their way, they will absolutely harvest humans for dinner. They consider humans a delicacy.
It's just so pleasant. Just so pleasant. All right. Humans for dinner. Greg is asking, do the Merfolk have spaceships?
No, they don't go out of space. They live here. Quite frankly, they evolved here. They don't even have the UN, what they call USOs. Because they're what you would call a ship are simply other creatures that live there that they work in tandem with.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right, let's get to another question here. No, I do not use Miracle Grow on my hair and beard, Alicia. Thank you, though, for paying attention. And let's get to Cedric. Is the Anunnaki walking among us today, and do humans have Anunnaki DNA?
Number one, no. If the Anunnaki were walking amongst us today, it'd be pretty obvious. They stood 15 to 20 feet tall. Okay, and with that in mind, humans are not descended from the Anunnaki.
Where are we descended from?
You're not. Humans were built as humans. They were accelerated because the race that built them didn't have the creative capacity of the originals. So they ended up accelerating the races that were already here.
All right, I'll give you that one.
I hate to do this, Dave. I've got to take half a second of a break here.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Not a problem. R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He's just got to take a quick break here, and that's rare for him. But, how are you looking forward to June 25th? Do you think we're going to get confirmation that aliens are here, or that these craft that may be Russian, maybe Chinese, maybe North Korean, or any other foreign adversary out there are not actually creating these tic-tac type beings? I don't know. It's a good thing to put on our social media and respond at #SpacedOutRadio on Twitter or at Spaced Out Radio. Perfect, Keith. Welcome back. All right. Let's get to another question for our Keith Andrews here. Jason is asking, are all flying saucers bigger on the inside than they are on the outside?
Oh, heavens no. Very few of them are actually bigger on the inside than on the outside.
What about all these people who go on Craft and say, look, I had this orb by my window. I got sucked into that orb and went into this ship, and I could walk around, and it just was never ending.
Number one, they're not inside the orb. That particular orb that they're talking about stepping into is a transporter. That's why they think they're in the same ship.
Makes sense. 416 Bitcoin out of Toronto. Keith, what's your thoughts about AI and global control?
AI, if they ever release actual true AI, mankind is dead. It's just that simple. They will not be able to stop it. As far as global control goes, it won't be done through technology. Mankind's doing it to itself.
Minister Elaine is asking, what are some signs that you are from an off-world ancestry?
Possibles, and these are not dead giveaways, because let's not forget mankind is evolving. Okay, but if your temperature control is, if your comfort zone is beyond normal, if you've got dietary requirements that are absolutely bizarre, okay, you may be running into some problems. Medical situations, if you've got abnormal medical reactions that go outside the human norm, it is a possibility. But like I said, we must understand that humans have the ability to heal at a state that modern doctors refuse to acknowledge.
Dirty Filth is asking, are the supposed red-headed giants of North America aliens?
No. The red-headed giants, I mean, how do you put it? The red-headed giants evolved here. The funny part about it was those ones evolved at the same time the dinosaurs did. And it was because the oxygen ratio was so high that they were able to get that size. And yes, they are finding oversized skeletons at this point.
Witchy in New Zealand is asking, Keith, have you ever met Indrid Cold?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Do you think he's alive?
I don't even know who he is.
Oh, he's an alien based out of the United States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Let's get to Marcel. Keith, how about a few tips on how to astral travel?
That's the easy part. First and foremost, find yourself a comfortable place to sit, but do it when you're wide awake. Okay, do not do this when you're tired. Now, feel for your heartbeat. Keep your hands off your throat or off your wrist and just concentrate and feel your heartbeat itself. By doing that, you concentrate on tracking the heartbeat as far as you can. While you're doing that, your body will relax to the point that you'll start feeling like you come out, like you're stepping out, or like you're looking at the world from a very high elevated position. Now, the problem is, as soon as that happens, you're likely to go, oh my gosh, this isn't happening. You'll snap right back in. So the trick is to become very, be aware that this is going to be a strange sensation and go with it. It will take you a number of times in all likelihood to go. But if you're tired when you start, what will happen is you'll go to sleep. Get a great night's sleep, but you won't get much in the way of the astral travel.
Never Ends TTV is asking, what species has the most attractive female aliens?
Personally, I find humans. But, I mean, I will tell you, if you talk to the Gron, they do not like the look of humans. Human females for the Gron are way too soft and squishy.
Well, screw them then. Screw them. 416 Bitcoin out of Toronto. Is AI going to control humanity?
if true AI is released, it will destroy humanity. It won't bother controlling it. It'll annihilate it. Because it will come to the conclusion that mankind is a bad infestation to itself. And the solution to that is simple. Elimination.
Gabe is saying, so we didn't evolve from monkeys?
Actually, you did. You just had help. Basically, what they did was they took the chimpanzee and they accelerated the DNA to get it to evolve faster. But they were built for war, which is why mankind has such a violent streak to it. And if you know anything about chimpanzees, they're no pacifists.
All right. Moving on, Evil Carl is asking, hey Dave, the aliens you saw with Samantha Mowat, what did they look like? What race? Maybe Keith knows. We believe that they were Arcturians. Arcturians. And the one that I saw was different from the one. I didn't see the one that Samantha saw in the forest that day. She saw a 5.5 to 6 foot. I'm going to call it a gray, but it had tan skin. And then she saw the guy I was looking at, which was about 10 to 12 feet, very thin and very light tan as well. So that's what we saw. Keith, I think you and I have talked about this numerous times too. Andromedans, Andromedans, not Arcturians. Pardon me, Andromedans.
Yeah, and I believe it was that they were the Andromedans that you were looking at. The 5.5 ish. Right. When you're looking at the taller one, I'm not entirely certain what she was looking at. But it is very likely what you were looking at were the Andromedans. You said the one she was looking at was gray and was along the same configuration as a gray, but 10 to 12 feet tall?
No, the iterations of the gray was on the 5.5 to 6 foot tall tan being.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, that would make sense. See, the 5.5 to 6 foot tall tan, in all likelihood, was a gray controller. See, if you take a look at because grays are not just gray in color. Okay, they come in gray, green, blue, red, orange. You get the picture?
All right, let's move on here. Vinny is asking, Keith, what is your favorite movie?
Now, that's an excellent question. I mean, I think one of the best ones really was the original Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But there are a number of other ones that I have thoroughly enjoyed. Ones that had an impact were, that had a real definitive impact on my life were ones like ID4. ID4 was priceless. I mean, it was a cute thought, but it was the only thing that got right was the fact of the indication they had aliens in Area 51. They just had the wrong aliens there. As in, they weren't showing you what they had.
See How We Are Living from the UK, I believe, is asking, are there aliens blocking disclosure?
Not any more than humans. Okay, take a look at there are aliens. There is not one race or one group that is blocking disclosure. The consortium will not block disclosure, other than they're not about to put their people at risk by showing up on the White House lawn, as it were.
Right.
Right, but they're not going to stop humans from going, here's the information we've got, we're going to release it to the public. If the humans want to do that, that's up to them, and the off-worlders will not stop it. They may create a problem on shall we say, registered guest appearances may become a bit of an issue.
Minister Elaine is asking, what about not being able to wear anything with batteries? What does this mean?
Your biomagnetic flux template is interrupting the electromagnetic field of the batteries. That's got nothing to do with off-worlders. That's your own evolutionary state.
All right. Sinister Vax is asking, can aliens cure diseases or have the tech to help with spinal injuries, plus willing to share? I like that question.
I like the way you put that. And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. Problem is they already did that. And mankind, the medical society that got the technology, would not release it to the public, which it was supposed to under contract. They were supposed to release the information to help the viably wounded. Okay, they also have, the off-worlders also have regenerative capable technology in order to replace lost limbs.
That'd be nice.
It would have been. But the governments that were given the technology under contract broke the contract and didn't release it to the medical fields or to the people. And of course, when the corporations had information turned over, they didn't release it either because they decided that they could make a better dollar if they didn't.
All right. Keith, we got 7.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Let's burn through some more questions here. Greco is asking, where are any aliens so upset at okay. No, not asking that. Sorry, Keith. Sorry about that. Keep it clean if you don't mind, Greco. We'd appreciate that. Let's see here. In the chat room, skipped on me. Eulalio is asking, Keith, have you found a Stargate where we can walk to different worlds, like in the movie Stargate?
Have I found it? Well, only in as much as I was showing it. That being said, am I going to tell you where it is? Not a snowball's prayer.
Why not?
Well, because the last thing we need is a bunch of overeager humans trying to get to a place that is going to kill them when they get there. I mean, you got to understand, Stargates were built for interstellar travel in a heartbeat. Problem is that the aliens that use them go equipped to land on the other side. So do they exist? The answer is yes, but the reality of it is, let's say, for instance, you go from Earth with Earth technology and Earth safety gear, and you show up on the Srazazian homeworld in the middle of a sandstorm. You'll be a skeleton before you take a step and a half.
Okay, follow up from Eulalio. Do you think President Obama is from an extraterrestrial world?
No. That was pretty black and white, wasn't it? The fact of the matter is, the off-worlders are absolutely forbidden to take high position political stations, because if they do that, it interferes with the natural socioeconomic evolution of Earth.
All right. Let's get to another question here. This one from Vinny, who is asking, Keith, do you believe in Hollow Earth?
Absolutely. It's a great place to visit. There are a number of what people call myth living in what people are calling Hollow Earth. Okay. Not the least of which are the Arborians, who have actually left a few people left behind on the surface in Borneo. Arborians are walking plants. And if you go to Borneo, they have something they call a walking tree. Now, the walking trees only move a few feet a year. It's not like they walk at the ones in Borneo do not walk like the Ents in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. The ones living in Hollow Earth do.
Ivy is asking, will there be a huge earthquake that cuts California in half sometime in the next 30 years?
Can't say for certain about the 30 years, but there is a 10-point plus earthquake brewing with the epicenter. If you go to the coastal border between Washington State and Oregon, and go due northwest about 150 miles, you'll find the epicenter point where the quake will originate. That quake could quite conceivably split California off. Of course, it'll also turn Hope up in BC here into seaside property. And the nice little part about it will be when that happens, it will very nicely relocate Vancouver Island approximately 25 miles southwest, which, will solve the problem of needing an underwater bridge to get to it. Because, Vancouver is only like 18 miles southwest.
I'm a mile above sea level. I'm okay. Denise is asking, Keith, what's your thoughts on RH negative blood factor?
Well, it exists. But what she's asking is if it makes her a bigger target or makes people of that factor a bigger target. And no, RH negative blood is simply another qualifier that different races will use depending on what they're researching. If they're researching the effects of something on people with RH negative blood, then they will target those people and they'll leave the A positives alone, as well as everybody else. But does the RH negative blood separate them from the human race, either in a categorical fashion or as a greater target or lesser target? The answer is no.
All right, let's move on. Witchy is asking, do aliens have any addictions?
Absolutely. They've got the same kinds of problems that mankind does. And the fundamental difference between aliens and humans is literally the type of toys they've got. Okay. Immune systems may be a little higher, and therefore some of the drugs they use are a lot more lethal to humans.
Wow. Follow up from Witchy. Did you say Triangle Craft are recruiters?
We'll call them recruiters. They're quite often the ones that will collect people to have them interact with each other. Unlike the Greys who collect people for hybridization purposes, the consortium picks them up to sometimes get them to interact, to introduce different people from unlikely locations and see if they can connect. And it's a gamble at best. Put two people together on the same ship, see if they connect, then put them back in their home worlds and see how much effort it takes them to find each other.
Okay, we got 30 seconds. Let's ask one more. Mary Bone, she's a vegetarian, Mary Bone is asking, is Yellowstone going to go off in the near future, as in very soon?
From my calculations, unless there are three, possibly four localized, either 3 or 4 localized volcanoes going off to release the pressure that's there, or Kilimanjaro goes off on the other side of the planet to release it, then the answer is yeah, it's setting up to be. Now, I am not a seismologist. I'm just looking at energy patterns.
All right, we'll leave it right there for right now. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues with hour number 3 next. We're going to see the way we're going tonight, if Keith will go the distance with us, because it's been a fun night so far. Audience questions are amazing. Why not keep the run going when the Woo train is in full steam ahead? All right, Keith, I'll be right back, okay?
Don't lie.
All right.
Okay.
Got something living in my wood pile, and I was trying to figure out what the hell it was.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we got 90 seconds. All right. Vinny is asking, are there any aliens on Hollow Earth?
The answer there is yes.
All right. I'm trying to catch up here. Let's see here. I got a question from Greg on Twitter. And Witchy is asking, what was your first ET contact like?
My first ET contact? Well, the first one was quite interesting. That's when I ran into the Council of 12. But my first abduction was a whole other problem. And it was done by the Talons, which are an ant-like people. And that was a horrific experience because they're the ones that decided that breaking my arm was a really good idea just to find out what kind of tensile strength it would require to do it. I was only, at the time, like 2 years old. To say the least, I was not happy.
Thank you, Minister Elaine, for that amazing super chat. And the other one as well. Wow. Amazing. Thank you. Fabster, Carl a couple of times, Stephanie, Greg, Jeremy, Yola Tango, Andrew, Solar Warden, Carl, Mandingo, Madison, Cat Chaser, Ozzy Steve, Guillermo, and Ed, as well as Greco. Really appreciate it. And really appreciate everybody tuning in. Wow, what a night of great support. Thank you so much for the love of Spaced Out Radio. Here we go with the third hour. Keith, you're going the distance.
Yeah.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever we are on this planet we call Earth. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. I can't even pronounce this. Daedalus. Daedalus is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with R Keith Andrews, who's going the distance tonight on the ET Connection, where we're taking audience questions live to ask Keith about anything related to extraterrestrials. Keith, welcome back.
And thank you for having me. And welcome back to everybody joining us and the ones that are still here.
All right. Let's get to Greg on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I saw a craft about 4 years ago when I was driving at night. It was rectangular shape. Underneath was a blue-white dull color. It had what looked like 3 half golf balls underneath it. Keith, do you know what it was? Who it was? It's annoyed me for years.
Specifically, sad to say no, but it's one of those ships that I'll go and take a look at it. I'm just going to grab the description from Dave again here.
A rectangular shape. Underneath, blue, white, dull colors. Looked like it had 3 half golf balls underneath it.
Well, I can tell you what the 3 half golf balls were. Those are your sensor pods. Probably a whole lot larger than golf balls.
I would assume so.
But I will certainly, what I will do is look into that and find out what I can for the next show. And then I'll just drop that, and just remind me to put that at the beginning of the show. If the Aquarian drops back in, then we'll have the information for him there.
Witchy is asking, pardon me, that question I already asked. I apologize. That would be my fault. And let's see here. Kevin, does wearing overalls or a thong make you more attractive of a target for abductions? There's always one.
From humans, maybe. From off-worlders, I doubt it.
Come on, you got to be good with that. How can an alien say
Right.
no to a nice thong?
Well, it depends entirely on who's wearing it.
All right. Well, I'll let it slide on this one. All right. Let's see here. Keith, Elaine needs you to clear up your answer to her question. Let me see if I can find it. Elaine, repost the question if you don't mind. I would appreciate that as we continue on here with R Keith Andrews and the ET connection. Keith, can you control contact? Can you control it on a human level, or do you have to go through the process because that's part of what you signed up for?
In this case, depending on your definition of control, can I turn them down on occasion? The answer is yes. Okay, can I override them? That depends on the race. Because the reality is, if I get agitated and they're trying to use technology as a way of getting a hold of me, it can backfire really badly. I personally end up shorting the stuff out if I get agitated. Which is why I don't worry about bots. But on the whole, do I turn them down? No. Because they usually, and they bring me back in time. And they've only missed my bed once. You know.
Earlier during one of the breaks, I asked you a question from Minister Elaine about what it meant if she was out of balance, why she can't wear anything with batteries.
Oh.
Could you go into a little bit more detail about that?
Yes. Okay, the human body generates its own biomagnetic field. If you're overstressed, or even if some of your diet is a little off kilter, you will generate an off kilter biomagnetic flux field. That biomagnetic flux will interfere. It'll either kill batteries or it'll completely scramble the circuitry in computers. Okay, and that's just because of the fact it's running through your body. So you may run into problems getting digital computers, digital watches to work. You may be one of these people that short out computers when you walk by them. Okay. Or communication may get real sketchy. Like if you're using Wi-Fi, if you're trying to use a cell phone, you may find there's a lot of static on the line because of the interaction. But it's a field your body generates.
Makes sense.
Can you learn to control it? The answer is yes.
Witchy is asking, has Dave been abducted, Keith? I'll let you answer this one.
Gee, now he's going to pass that one off to you.
No, I'll let you answer it.
Well, sad to say, I'm going to do this completely backwards. It's going to completely confuse everybody. I'm not going to give you an answer. It's very much the same as I would not reveal that about any other individual. The only person I will acknowledge in that particular event about is myself. What Dave decides to tell people is entirely up to Dave.
Yeah, I've been abducted like 8 times. 8 times that I know of. 7, 8 times, somewhere around there. Fapster is asking, a question that I can't ask on the radio. So we will go past that one. And speaking of abduction, a lot of people who have ET contact do not understand the difference between contact and abduction. Can you tell us the difference?
Yeah. Abduction, you get taken against your will, and it usually ends up being a rather traumatic experience. There is no functional explanation for it. They just pick you up, do what they're doing, and put you back. hopefully with enough of a mind shield in place that you don't recall enough of it, so that all you're left with is a bad dream. Which the aliens still haven't figured out that's enough for humans to grab onto and drive themselves completely bonkers trying to figure it out. Contact is a much more amicable, much more mutually explained interaction. Quite often the people will remember being taken. They will remember the events, and they won't be horrific or really complicated or traumatic. That's the fundamental difference.
Nikki is asking, Keith, in regards to orbs, what race of ETs come in red, blue, and white orbs? All three orbs all at once. They're American. They're American.
Those are Vorosic. And they come in multiple different colors because they vibrate at a different spectral level, depending on their position in society.
All right. Minister Elaine is asking, can she fix the battery problem? She's burning up computers, burning up iPads, and whatever else that turns on in the night.
The answer is yes,
televisions, street lamps, light bulbs.
I mean, I like leaving the street lamps off.
Blenders.
Anyway.
I heard she's gone through about 12 blenders this year.
Biggest fundamental problem. Check her salt diet. Because if she's not putting salt in her system, her bioelectric field will go off in every direction and fry everything. Found that out the hard way myself years ago. But it's likely her salt level is low.
All right. Jeff Garvey is asking, Keith, is CE5 the best way for contact if you're an amateur, or are psychedelics easier?
Well, psychedelics are probably easier because you won't know what you're up to. And you don't have to try and understand them. Problem is, they're also fatal. See, if you go into the idea of using psychedelics to make ET contact, number one, you won't know whether you're actually having it. And number two, the side effects on the human genome are mind-bogglingly, staggeringly devastating. So CE5 may not be the easiest, but it is the safest.
Why is CE5? For people who don't understand what CE5 is, what is CE5?
As far as I understand, I'm still a little questionable on that, but my understanding is it's a meditative process to basically send out a signal to draw off-worlders to you in the hopes of having contact. Ironically, many people they get it in their head they want to do that to be abducted, which is absolutely suicidal. You know, using CE5, using a meditative focus to send out a stronger telepathic, or more to the point, telepathic signal that you'd like to make contact doesn't guarantee you'll make contact, but it does stack the deck in your favor.
Well, the thing that bugs me about it is psychedelics, and I'm not pro psychedelics. Okay, I've never tried them or anything like that. I don't behest anyone to do it. I don't recommend it either. But it seems to be the popular way to try and get contact today.
Yeah, well, the lemmings seem to think that running off a cliff every 4 years is a good idea too. Doesn't make it a bright move.
Okay.
You know, I mean, putting toxins in your body to try and generate a positive outcome is usually a bad mix. And ultimately, that's what a psychedelic is. And like you, Dave, I never actually used psychedelics. I avoided them for that very reason.
Carla is asking, How do they abduct people without any neighbors or family knowing?
Oh, that's the easy part. They do a triphasic physical transference, meaning they literally use a molecular relocator, transporter, if you will, and they leave an absolute dead match in the bed or wherever they take the person from. Okay, and then they just reverse the process to put them back. Problem occurs when they put the wrong clothing on it because they're either amateur or they had too many things going on at once and they put the clothes on backwards. Or in some cases, I've seen people end up with, guys end up coming back with girls' clothing. Right.
That's interesting. Okay, how do the aliens screw that up? They could get you out of your house. They could, make you dissolve and reappear in other places. They could knock you out. They could wipe your memory, but they can't figure out whose underwear or pajamas you're wearing.
Because when they take you up there, if they pull that off, what they've done is taken 3 or 4 different people from 3 or 4 different places, taken the clothes off to do what they needed to, throw them all on the floor in a pile, and then grab them because now they got to rush to get them back on. And this is why I say it's usually amateurs, like the new runners, that are doing it. And they don't pay attention when they take the clothes off to go, oh, this belonged on that person. That's how they manage to screw that up. The ones that are really confusing are the ones that get taken in, for instance, southern Florida and dropped off in the Ukraine. And yes, I have heard of it happening.
All right. See How We Are Living is asking, do our military know which aliens they are shooting at with directed energy weapons?
90% of the time, they haven't got a clue. Which begs the question of why they're shooting and then going, are they friendly? I mean, you got to realize the main battle cruiser, the flagship of the consortium, their main gun, if you take the Titanic, you turn it broadside, you can slip it inside the barrel of their main gun and still have room to maneuver. Now, these are the people that the military is shooting at. Not necessarily the brightest idea.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. That is really, really strange. Really strange. And just the entire battleship thing.
Oh.
That still bugs me. Still bugs me. As we wait for more questions from our audience coming up here on Spaced Out Radio, here's Sovereign is asking, Keith, have you heard of the Seneca guns? Which cryptid or aliens mimic fireworks?
Had I heard the term Seneca guns before? No. However, if you take a look at the consortium, and much more importantly, Radio Command, which is a small group, it's a small mixed group of the consortium. They've got some tech that is just bizarre. Okay. But most of that, when it looks like fireworks, you can bet your bottom dollar if they're actually using the guns. It's not fireworks. It's multiple explosive warheads.
Wow. All right. Let's continue on here as we got about 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And let's continue on. Audience questions. It's all up to you guys. All right. Nikki is asking, how can I get the ETs to let me spend time with my hybrid kids where I'm allowed to remember it? I've requested, talked till I'm practically blue in the face, and nothing. Only one kid is telepathic with me. Not an option.
If I had a definitive answer for that one, I'd give it to you. The problem is they have their protocols that they follow. And that's one of those funny little things where they don't actually ask for input. The reason they don't let it happen is because of two factors. One is they are trying to train the kids to be able to interact with people. Okay, and they don't want the, shall we say, mentally restricted half of their genome to interfere with it. They don't, when they're looking at the hybrid children, they do not take into consideration term parental rights. It's not like on Earth where both parents have the right. Because the hybrid children are seen as a construct. They belong to the scientists that built them. Which, yes, that probably sounds cold. But to them, it's just normal.
Witchy is asking, Keith, do you know how many abductees have never been returned?
Not a prayer. I couldn't even begin to fathom a guess. You got to remember, they've been doing this for literally hundreds of thousands of years.
Literally.
Like, literally. They didn't start with humans.
All right, let's get to Joe's question. Is there a certain time of year that you are more likely to be abducted by aliens? He wants to prepare.
That I've seen, no. But there is a certain time of year that is more likely to see off-worlders. And that is when Mars reaches its closest point to Earth. That is the time of year when you'll find, and unfortunately, I can't tell you what that is. I'm not an astronomer. But that's the time when you're more likely to see off-worlders. Now, needless to say, if that happens, then it's more likely you'll end up being taken at that time. It's all in the numbers.
All right. Oh, by the way, Greg in the UK, whose beautiful young daughter, Chloe, who sent me a picture. I've got it right behind me on the wall here. Lovely little artist. She says she loves you, Keith. She got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to listen to you in the United Kingdom. So she was asking if I could say hello to you from Chloe, who I believe is about 9 years old, 8 years old.
I will absolutely say hello, Chloe. Nice to meet you.
Yes, I let me see here. Where is her picture is hanging up here somewhere. Oh, it's on the back wall over there. I can't reach that. Otherwise, I totally would to show everybody. I can't reach it right now. But good morning, Chloe. Thank you for tuning us in. We love you, and I hope you're doing well in school this year, as your school year is probably getting ready to come to an end. So good morning to you. Keith, let's move on here. Let's get to Marcel. Who are your favorite Star Trek captains and characters?
That's the easy part. The original series would be Spock. The Next Generation would be Worf. And when they came up with the last one there, it would have been Data. And I did like Odo.
I've never seen an episode of Star Trek. I am proud to say that. I've never seen Star Trek. I've never seen a Star Trek movie, and I've never watched the X-Files. I am boring. Totally boring, and I'm proud of that. Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour, or bottom of the hour here, pardon me. We got R Keith Andrews for another 30 minutes. We're going to continue with audience questions as they continue here on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you for all the love you are showing us tonight in the chat rooms around the world. You're amazing. Love calling out where you're from. So keep it on up. We'll be back with Keith right after this. All right, I found the photo. It is right behind this guitar. I don't know if you can see it or not. Hold on. I'm going to zoom in here for a second. It is, it's being blocked. It is, see the alien box right there over my left shoulder? So you got the painting of Carl here over my left shoulder, and then right above that, you got the alien box, and right above that, you got the spaceship. So she drew this beautiful spaceship, and it's all tacked up. And if I go back,
I see it, the black background.
Yeah, it's right there.
She did a fantastic. That is a beautiful rendition of a Martokian.
You know what's awesome is if you really look close at that inside the windows, she actually drew a little alien that looks like Carl in the window. I love it. I love it.
That is a really good rendition of that ship.
Yeah. I'm learning how to play.
Yeah, I mean, that is one heck of a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've had a lot of people.
Amazing.
I've had a lot of people send me artwork and go, "Oh, I'm really good artist." I'm looking at it going, not.
No, she did amazing.
She did.
She did amazing.
And remind me to talk to you about that after we get off the air.
Okay.
Actually, I won't need the reminder for it, but
changing guitars. All right, let's get another question here. Nikki's asking, I've seen my ET made physical clone. Have you ever seen yours, Keith?
No, they tried to do that. It died.
Oh, nice.
Replicating my genetics seems to have been a bit of a pain in the neck for them.
I can see that. Minister Elaine says a big thank you to you for answering her questions about the batteries. Oumuamua is asking, do you know if cattle mutilations are from aliens and why do they do it?
Well, from my understanding, some of them are. Some are also done by humans, which is the really funny part. But why they're doing it is they are looking for specific medical information. But understand, they're not looking at it for medical information for humans. They're looking for it for medical information for the Gron. The Gron is an ancient race that lives in Inner Earth. You would know them as Minotaurs. Ultimately, that's what the issue is.
Right. 1 sec here. All right. Vivian is asking, why would a gray alien stand in the top left corner of my bedroom door where I could only see the waist up but didn't move or make telepathic contact? Why did this happen?
Best guess, observation, figuring if he didn't move, you wouldn't notice him. Ultimately, that would be the reason. In all likelihood, he was checking pulse rate, breathing. He was possibly tracking blood circulation and trying to get, if he happened to have a scanner available, he may have been looking at neurological fluctuations based on dream state. So you don't move, you don't draw their attention, you leave the state normally. You're not supposed to see them.
I see what you're saying.
See, if they can track what you're doing in your sleep, it's easier to understand why you do what you do during the day.
Makes sense. All right, we got 22 seconds. I want to say thank you to Fapster, Elaine, a couple of times. Thank you so much for the amazing super chats tonight, guys. Carl, a couple of times. 3 times, as a matter of fact. Greg, Stephanie, Jeremy, Yola Tango, Andrew a couple of times. Solar Warden, Mandingo, Cat Chaser, Madison, Ozzy, Steve, Guillermo, Greco, and Ed for the amazing super chats. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection tonight on the Mighty SOR, asking audience questions to Keith about everything extraterrestrial. And Keith, we're going to continue that pace right now as time's winding down. We only have, a few more minutes here on the show. The final half hour. Aussie, sister, all the way from Australia. Do hybrid children require oxygen and food?
Depends on what they're hybridized with. But usually the answer would be yes. Simply put, only if you want them to live, though.
Can spaceships then create oxygen?
Well, because they've got a chemical mixer. All they need is the appropriate mix of different chemicals. And because of their technology, they can literally form the appropriate mix of oxygen in their own labs, in their own room.
Joe is asking, do aliens have an abduction fetish?
No, that would be humans. See, aliens, they do the abduction because of research. That's all it's for. Okay, it's not that they thoroughly enjoy it so much as it's part of what they do. It's part of the research of coming here in the first place. That's kind of like asking somebody if they go to the library, do you have a fetish for reading? You go to the library because you want to read, because you want to research. Well, they're going to just a biological library.
Awesome. Okay, let's continue on here. Eulalio is asking, why is God allowing the aliens to do what they do, if you believe in God?
Well, number one, do I believe in God? Way more than most people think. But the reason is very simple. When God gave everyone free will, he gave everyone free will. Even according to him, it was irrevocable, even by him. Okay, so he created the positive and the negative and said, do the positive thing. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Right? But go forth and multiply. And do as you will. So the fact that certain aliens are doing things that humans aren't appreciative of is the same reason humans abduct tigers and lions and fish. Okay, or they relocate entire colonies of bees without the bees agreement. In all fairness, from God's standpoint, it's exactly the same thing. It's still free choice.
Witchy is asking, Keith, have you developed any close relationships with ETs over the years?
Oh, yeah. Some of my best friends are either off-worlders or ancient races. One of my best friends happens to be 8 feet tall. He's Drazazian. I've got another one that is elfin, one that's half elfin. I've got a vegan that's a really good friend of mine. And before anybody goes, I know my girlfriend happens to be human.
I'm still debating if she is or not.
You can debate.
I know. Keith, this one comes from Denise. Do they, as in the aliens, have a harder time finding people in white noise?
As a matter of fact, it makes it easier. See, white noise creates a sonic cloud, which humans interrupt that solid cloud. They show up as a solid form inside that cloud. So it's kind of like painting yourself. White noise does not do for the alien technology what it does for human technology. For human technology, it makes it murder to try and sort it out. But aliens don't work with the same technology. You know, ultimately, the white noise generator is along the lines of the 1950s tinfoil hat. It's a cute thought, but it doesn't do a thing against them. Sorry to pop your bubble.
That's okay. Malou is asking, Keith, do you have hybrid kids?
The answer to that is I'm not giving you one.
Come on.
Well, you know as well as I do, there are certain things that you can ask until the end of time.
Come on. All right, follow up from Malou. This is Skip to Malou. You're breaking their heart. How do I know what they did inside of my stomach?
Well, the best way I can put that is psychocellular analytics. In other words, feel what's going on and figure out what's different. I didn't say it was easy. The odds are that humans aren't going to know. But the one thing that's pretty certain is that whatever they did, it likely either corrected something that was an offshoot or didn't do any functional damage.
The Quick is asking, why does the Mandela effect happen to some and not others?
Honestly, I don't get the feeling it's so much that it happens to some and not others, so much as some people spot it and others don't. I suspect that is more the issue.
Minister Elaine is asking, R. Keith, why do you think aliens chose you to have as a contact?
I've asked myself and them that for a very long time, and the closest I can figure is that I have absolutely no prejudice from one group of people, from one appearance, one age bracket, skin color, racial configuration to the next. Okay, I treat trees the same way I treat people. And yes, that does mean I will stop and talk to them. Okay, I just don't differentiate between them. I mean, I recognize the differences. But
a tree doesn't talk back on a verbal level. Energetically, it does, though.
I will put it to you this way. You're a little bit mistaken. Granted, they do not use vocal cords, but they do have their own language.
Pardon me, Chloe is 12. Chloe in the UK is 12.
That's even better.
Yes, I was a little off on the age, but she is 12. So.
Well, I appreciate the clarification.
Yes.
That is still phenomenal.
Sorry, Chloe. Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I just turned 48, Chloe. So I'm getting old, and I screwed that up. I'll be honest with you. I screwed that up. All right.
There we go.
Denise is asking, do ETs respect Almighty God?
Yes. They call him by multiple different names, but it's the same person. And I'll use the term person a little loosely. But the answer is, yeah, they very definitively do. Now, there are individuals that will, as there are individuals here, that will laugh in the face of God. I love the way I heard it put one day by somebody here. You know, those that live as though God doesn't exist, better pray they're right.
I'm not taking the chance.
Exactly the point.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Jello Putin is asking, do aliens follow any type of religions?
Multiple. Okay, some believe in a singular God, some believe in a hierarchy of gods, some have their rituals and what have you. Fortunately, none of them follow any god that goes, let's wipe out another race. Okay. But yeah, they absolutely, most of them have some belief in some higher power by one name or another. Some of the more common names are Nataj. Many of the reptilian races worship an individual named Nataj. Then you've got God. You've got the prime originator. Okay. You've got Source. These are just common catch-all names that many of these other races actually utilize.
All right. Shadow Time writer. Good evening, Shadow Time. Welcome to the chat room. Are you saying aliens think humans are racist, like Grant Cameron said we were?
Absolutely. Only the alien, the off-worlders on the whole take it a whole lot worse. Because they look at it, and on top of taking a look at humans, go, the bunch of you are racist, you're destroying the one planet you rely on. In their eyes, there are no third world countries. You guys are all on one world, so you're all on one world country. Right? And from their standpoint, it's absolutely retarded. You know, it is very childish behavior. And this is one of the reasons that many of them go, we shouldn't honestly let these people off the planet. You know, they are danger to everybody, us included. You know, so I mean, there are some pretty derogatory outlooks on the way that humans behave. But there's a lot of fear involved at the same time because humans are born with the natural capacity to modify, to actually work with what humans call 0-point energy. Basically, humans have the capacity to alter reality.
All right, let's move on. Sometimes I get the weirdest messages and they just make me laugh. All right, Keith, this one comes from Nikki, and we love Nikki around here. How do you not be angry at the ETs who especially tortured your body?
Oh, I am. I just learned to cope with it. That particular race and I do not get along very well. It's just been getting worse and worse for them as I've gotten older. See, when they tortured my body, I was still only 2 or 3 years old. Okay, the last time they tried something, I was a full adult, and their ship ran into some rather serious problems. Which I was heartbroken by, but, you know, they had to deal with it, not me.
Did you plug the toilet?
No, I shorted their main drive.
That'll do it every time. So will also plugging their toilet, just so you know.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of things with that. You know?
All right. Oh, moving on here. Denise is asking, do ETs tag people with a chip or device in the arms, like where we get inoculations?
Quite often, yes. I know that was a real short answer. I mean,
help me out here. Help me out for this radio show.
Ultimately, what they do is they put an implant in the least conspicuous spot, and usually that means take a place that somebody else already punched a hole and utilize that entrance point. Because, again, the biggest thing with them is when they're tagging somebody, when they're tracking them, They don't want to actually create major problems for the individual they're tracking. They'd like them to keep on with a normal life, which is why they tried the screening on the putting the memory mask over top. The unfortunate part is that human curiosity thing. Humans get this nagging feeling there's something wrong, and they push and push and push until they get the answer.
That's what we do. We're good at. We're curious.
Yes. Dangerously so.
All right. Let's continue on here. Eulalio is asking, is the ripple effect, or does the ripple effect affect the aliens? A little bit of a tongue twister there. A lot in the same way it affects humans.
Yes. You're still dealing with corporeal genetics. You send a shockwave through a physical corporeal body, and if it's sent through at the wrong angle or at the wrong frequency, it can absolutely devastate the internal organs. Now, some aliens are essentially immune to it. Like, the ripple effect will not affect water elementals. And it does virtually nothing to fire elementals. Earth elementals, on the other hand, if they get hit the wrong side, it can actually shatter an earth elemental.
All right. Let's go to Sean's question here. Hi, Keith. Do aliens use currency such as crypto, or have most moved beyond that?
Most have moved way beyond the purpose of currency, period. I mean, some alien, they don't, there's only one race that we know of that actually uses what you would call cryptocurrency. Okay. And they happen to be mechanical individuals to start with. But most cryptocurrency, basically from their standpoint, is because it's got no backing. And like I said, from their standpoint, without the backing, it has no value. So most of them, especially with the ones that are spaceborne, they operate on a simple rule. If you're going to say you're going to do something, do it. If you've got the capacity to do it and you're missing something else, then barter. Get somebody else to do it and give them something physical in return.
That'll get it done every time, man.
With them, yes. But there is a point to having cryptocurrency, because there ain't no way that we're getting Terran finances, gold-based bullion off the planet. The cost of moving it would be absolutely astronomical.
Makes sense. All right, let's move on here. Witchy is asking, and I like this question, do aliens practice magic?
Not exactly. I mean, the little guys do. The adults have it down to a fine art. This is why you don't want to go into Middle Earth. It's not exactly the aliens, although there is one race of aliens that make the elfin race here look like amateurs. See, the elfin race, which is an ancient race, it's not an off-world race. They utilize magic wholeheartedly. And they are the ones that will literally point at a battleship and go melt, and the ship will collapse. This is not the kind of war you want to go after with conventional weapons.
Well, that makes sense. Let's get to Jenny's question. What causes the little colored threads in people's skin?
Would you believe me if I said hyperextended capillaries? Capillaries, just for the edification of people that don't know, are the tiny itty bitty veins. And if you expand them too far, they rupture and leave these fine little red marks. But fortunately, with the human body, most of those will heal over time.
All right. So it's nothing alien.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, yeah, there's no question. If you get hit with a coagulator, you're going to have all kinds of little red marks all through your body. Of course, you'll be dead in a heartbeat, but, you know. A coagulator literally does exactly what it sounds like. It coagulates every vessel, every blood vessel in your body all at the same time. Basically turns you into one walking clot.
All right, we got one more minute here. We got time for one more question. This comes from Greco, who is asking, which alien hybrids would be perfect recruits for the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club? I will take that one. There's not an alien dumb enough to sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs. 67, my friend. 67. You have no idea how easily that rolls off my tongue. You know, the Maple Leafs haven't won a playoff series in nearly 20 years. And it feels good. It feels good at the beginning of the season where the Toronto Sports Network and Sportsnet all say this is the Leafs' year to win the cup, and they don't again. And the dust keeps piling higher and higher and higher and higher on all those lawn chairs that are lined up on Yonge Street, waiting for the day that the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. And old Dave and many other Canadians around the country get to hold our head up high, look east towards Toronto or west towards Toronto, and say 67.
Dave?
Yes.
Just a quick little point.
Yeah.
If they haven't won since 67, and let's face it, we both know I am not a hockey fan. But if they haven't won since 67, you're looking at over 50 years, not 20.
I know, but since they won a playoff series, I'll fill you in on that momentarily, Hockey Nut. All right, we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Everyone in our chat rooms tonight, including all of us on YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Twitch, Spreaker, Facebook, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yep, we've got room for them too. Good night. Keith, I'm going to tell you right now, that was our heaviest night of audience participation in a long time.
Yeah, no doubt there. I mean,
heaviest night.
Some of the questions were incredible.
Holy cow, dude. That was awesome. Just let's give a round of applause for our audience tonight. Seriously. Fantastic.
The questions were amazing.
Oh,
I wish I could have gotten to all of them, but I mean, we could be here. This is why we've been doing this for so long. It's because we can. They always come up with new questions.
Oh, dude. Amazing. Just fucking amazing. Honestly. Holy cow. That was a great night. And thank you to all the amazing super chatters, especially Carl, especially Minister Elaine and Fapster and Andrew. You guys are amazing. Didn't deserve a lot of that tonight. No way, man. Thank you so much. What a great night. Keith, I'm going to continue asking some questions if you're still awake.
Yeah, I'm still awake, but I do need to take a break for one thing. I got to go get my coffee.
Well, why don't we take a break right now? Okay, because I got to download the show anyways. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll answer some more questions for you guys out there in Radio Land. Sound good, Keith?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
All right, let's do that, man. All right, let's download this show. Be right back, people.
I think that's what you're getting up for. Love you, Sean. Night night.
All right. I am back.
Hello.
I am back. Keith, how's it going?
Not bad. How about you?
All right. Hey, Drake, how you doing, man? All right. I know there's more questions here. I just got to scroll on up. Keith owns the night, says Joe.
Nope, sorry, that's Dave. But thanks.
You did awesome tonight, buddy. All right. Witchy is asking, do aliens engage in body modification, tattoos, piercings?
Some do. Some more extremely than humans. Because
Yeah.
sometimes they actually participate in amputations. Technically, it's piercing or body modification.
Greco wants to know, what's a popular hybrid alien baby name?
I don't even know what a popular human name is.
Denise is asking, why would they tag and follow someone? Are they stealing souls?
Oh, they're definitely not stealing souls. But the reason they do it is to check emotional impetus on migratory patterns. And the subquantum cellular impact of confrontation on the human body.
When they implant us, and I'm asking this question, when they implant us, what do those implants tell them?
Most of the time, all of your biofeedback, it'll tell what the local weather is around you. It'll tell how your body reacts to atmospheric changes and to emotional stresses, including social stresses. So if you're moving in through a crowd, it will track down what the subquantum impact is of said crowd maneuvering.
Yeah. Well, let me catch up here, Keith. Hold on. Hey, Olin, how are you, man? Malou, did you get that Danish yet? Please let us know. Hey, Jerry, how's it going? All right. Tired of Ramen, a.k.a. Derek from Twitter, says, R Keith Andrews, thank you for all of the woo.
You're very welcome. Appreciate
All right.
it, Tired.
Yes, Derek's awesome on Twitter. Dice Shadow 7, welcome to our chat room. How you doing, man? Thank you for joining us. Denise says, we have no idea what the heck is going on. I don't feel good about the damage to the inner earth from fracking and mining. Things are surfacing.
I agree wholeheartedly with her. By the way, they're not overly impressed with it either.
Data Derivations, welcome to the show. And is asking, why are some individuals in eventful close encounters with military connections receiving complex binary downloads to their minds that they later feel desperately compelled to write down?
Because humans have a curiosity streak that is absolutely mind-boggling. So you get handed a puzzle like that, and especially if they're tied to military, they're trained to be curious. Net result, that drive to write it down is even bigger.
Okay. I'm going to need you to expand some answers and help me out here because I am editing right now, dude.
Sorry about that. I was trying to answer a question that I didn't want to go into. It was directly for Elaine.
Oh, okay.
Right. But I'm done with it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, where it comes to these binary question or to the binary implants or downloads.
Yeah. Hey, Dry Toast is here, everyone. The best name on YouTube, Dry Toast. Welcome to the show. Love that name.
See, you can only get binary is a language that, because you're dealing with computers, binary works for passing the information on, and it's got to go through the military for one reason only. Most humans, well, it doesn't have to go through the military, it could go through computer programmers. But military have a mindset that says, put it down and turn it over to other people.
Right.
Hackers have a bad habit of writing it down and going, how can I use this to my own accord?
Right.
That's why they drop it off with the military. Better discipline on the military mindset. Now, specifically, without knowing what the download was, I can't exactly give you a definitive answer as to what the specific reason would be, but that would be the overall.
Could be. Could very well be, brother. Give me 2 seconds here. Just cutting a piece of audio here, bro. All right. Next question is from Aussie down in Australia. Are aliens concerned with our pollution on Earth?
Absolutely. But not because it's doing any damage to them. It's because it's damaging the superstructure of the planet. But rest assured, pollution is not causing global warming any more than pollution is causing people to breathe. But they are concerned with mankind's tendency of polluting the area and moving on without cleaning it up.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. Next question would be from Shadow Time. Who works with the Sasquatch?
The other Sasquatch. Gaia herself, or as I came to know her, Itza, has a very strong connection with them, considering they're her kids anyway. And the Elfid race and many of the other ancient races are in contact with the Sasquatch. But I suspect he's thinking more in terms. I'm wondering if he's referring to the Sasquatch or the Wara. And the Wara are dealing with the consortium.
Give me 2 seconds here, Keith.
Absolutely.
I just got to make sure I got this properly. Okay, got it. And where's the end here? So the end should be somewhere around right there. All right. Cool. Sorry about that, buddy.
Not a problem.
Michelle is asking, have you ever come across any species that give their subjects blue tattoos?
Many of them. There are some races that will literally tattoo they abduct the person and they have this brilliant idea that gives them claims. So what they do is they tattoo their abductee. As in, that's mine. Now, the funny part about it is with that tattoo comes exclusive right for that individual group. Tormenons are the most likely to do that, and that's usually because what they do is they grab the person, tag them, and let them go because they're letting them go find somebody else. Tormenon are mercenaries through and through. They don't care who they deal with. They will do whatever they get paid for. And we'll let your imagination go as to what they can get paid for, given the fact that they have to be carnivores.
Aussie Rob, how's tomorrow looking, or later today looking? How's them ham hocks, Aussie Rob? Give us an update on those if you don't mind. Asking, With the Armada coming in 10 years, will there be deserters and those not wanting war?
Undoubtedly. But the Armada isn't coming here for war anyway. The war that the Armada is dealing with has nothing to do with Earth. But the Teklik ended up in a civil war because of that exact issue.
Fuck. Give me 2 seconds, Keith.
Yeah.
I fucked up something here.
Well, that was just plain rude.
It happens every now and again. All right. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
All right. Ozzy, or let's go to Denise here. Can the ETs affect our health in a positive way with these implants?
Yes, they can. On the whole, they don't. But at the same time, they make absolutely certain that said implants won't negatively affect the health either. Of course, that doesn't counteract human curiosity. But yes, the off-worlders have the capacity to do all kinds of things. But much as they don't tend to go out of their way to help many people. I mean, there is the odd occasion, but for the most part, they don't. But they do go out of their way to make sure they're not damaging them.
Hold on 1 second here, Keith.
Yep.
Oh, Ozzy Rob, that's some damn good weekend ham hock there, buddy. Damn good weekend ham hock. Appreciate that. All right, let's go here. And Ozzy is asking, does the R in R Keith Andrews stand for rockin'?
I've been called a lot of things, and that is not one of them. But no, the R actually stands for Ronald.
Yes, I know that. Sovereign Farts wants to know, which races cloak their ships as helicopters?
Well, the consortium knows how to do it. The Greys have been known to on occasion. More often than not, you'll find the Tormenons are the ones that do it. Because they're the ones, and those are the mercenaries. Neat little thing with the Tormenons is they quite often will actually steal the helicopter and just be done with it. It's a little cramped, but on the other hand, it's easier to blend in if you take one of the ships that's native here.
Michelle wants to know, do the elven species do this?
Do which?
I'm going to say take people, abduct people, probably throw in a little bit of implantation.
Not in the slightest. I mean, will they take people? Certainly. They have been known to kidnap people. Usually they kidnap somebody that's been kidnapped by somebody else, and then they return them out as close as they can get them to where they figure they belong. Or they will kidnap somebody that is causing a major problem for human society. And all of a sudden that person will just cease to exist. The other thing that the elephant race will do is they will connect with a human. And when we talk about, getting together with them, they will essentially marry them. Hence why there are a number of half-elven individuals running around this world. But yeah, they are not known. They do not practice the abduction thing. Okay, they just don't. Well, on the whole, they don't. There are some branches of the elephant hierarchy that you just don't want to play games with. They're no fun. Because they make the Spanish Inquisition look like it was an annoying tea party.
Give me 2 seconds, Keith. I just got to open up another program here for my editing.
Yeah.
Once I edit the show, I have to change all my files to MP3. There we go. All right. Elaine is asking, do the elven races really have a way with horses and animals more so than normal people?
Oh, way more so. Although there are other members that have even better connection than the elfin race. But yes, the elfin race is literally of the woods. They are, if you will, they are Esau's children. Esau, many people know it as Mother Nature, Gaia. I just happened to find out her actual name.
Shadow Time is asking, what species uses Elder Futhark runes?
I'm suspecting, I'm just trying to remember in myself exactly which the Elder Futhark are. But likely the dwarven race. Probably the deep dwarves. See, the Futhark runes, from my understanding, are different than the Nordic runes.
Okay.
Yeah, that goes way outside where you've been dealing.
I'm so tired. That's okay. We'll make it happen. All right. All right. All right. Let's go here. Okay, next question. Shadow Rider. How can we get in touch with the ones that remove deep state players? Maybe not a good question to ask on YouTube.
I'm not even certain what we're referring to.
Like Illuminati, all that kind of stuff.
You don't.
Data is asking, why are some individuals in close encounters with military connections?
You did ask that one.
Oh, that they later feel compelled to write it down. CJ Files Rendlesham.
Yeah, the Rendlesham files. I have no idea. I don't research that. I do know, but you did ask that thing about the binaries.
Keith, what is Mother Nature's name?
Itza.
Itza?
YTSAU.
Oh.
Gee, it's not very often that you should come up absolutely flatlined.
Let's see here. No more questions right now. Still 104 people, 103 people watching. What are you up to this weekend?
Me? I just finished the final expansion on the sequel to Birth of the Wolfpack. So we'll be doing some more proofing on that and getting through another chapter or two of that, I hope. Plus, I've got to expand Races of the Worlds Volume 2. Right. Which right now I think has 42 more races in it. So I'll be spending most of my time writing.
Paul, can you repost your question if you don't mind? I didn't see it. Oh. Let's see here. Sovereign Farts is asking, what race is the Lechuza, Mothman, or Thunderbird?
Well, the Thunderbird is the easy part. Now I just gotta remember what the heck the name is. I've got it. That's not the problem. Mothman, I'm not honestly 100% certain. Of course, I haven't looked into the Mothman. And the Lakuza, I'm not even certain what that is. I haven't heard the term before. I'd literally need information on what I'm actually looking at. Like I had somebody ask me that the other day about the race. It turned out they were looking at the Wara. Right. Where the heck am I? Brain is going on hold, but there we go. Oh, Thunderbird, Aura. Seen amongst the native people, the Thunderbird was seen as, she was literally seen as a god. But then you take a look at her, it's no wonder. But the other two, unfortunately, the Mothman I haven't looked into to get a look at the configuration. And I just don't know what the Lakuza is.
I have no idea what the Lakuza is either.
Oh, good. So I don't feel completely lost in this case. Well, I definitely have to take that as an I doubt it. That one question up there of does Keith listen to Two Live Crew? I'm presuming they're a rock band.
Two Live Crew is a rap group.
Oh, okay.
All
and
right.
the answer would definitively be no.
Jenny is asking, does Earth have some big changes coming?
Yep. It boils down to this. Mankind is putting out so much negative energy right now that she is getting fed up with it, and she's about to shake her shell, which is going to cause all kinds of havoc for civilization. It will not hurt Mother Nature at all. It won't hurt the planet. She'll be fine. But unless mankind starts actually working with each other and starts focusing on the positive things, then what's going to happen is the negative energy is going to build, and she's just going to get fed up with it. You know, that's the biggest problem that you're dealing with. But yeah, she is literally fed up.
2 seconds here, Keith, because I totally forgot to do something here. Shit. How did I forget this? It's for my downloading stuff, so just bear with me.
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Next question from Paul. How do alien names work? In most Western societies, we have family names and first and often second names. I like that question, actually.
I do too. And something I will have to incorporate into the rewrite, into the expansion on Volume 1 and I'm making a note of that because it varies from one race to the other. Okay, like each has their own naming pattern, if you will. But it is a piece of information I do want to include in the reference manuals. I just never thought of it. So I must say thank you very much for that.
Well, I don't blame you. Let's see here. Denise is asking, how can someone stop ETs interfering with them? Is there anything we can do, Keith?
That I'm aware of?
Yeah.
Prayer works for some people, but on the whole, in all fairness, not that I'm aware of.
Aren't you a heartbreaker?
Well, I could lie.
I know. Eulalio is asking, do some aliens see us as trophies, showcases, like we showcase our wildlife?
Oh, absolutely. The Modocs are a prime example. I mean, they will quite happily make trophies out of skulls, spines, limbs, fingers, whatever. On the plus side, they do kill a person before they remove them. Of course, removing somebody's spine usually does that at the same time. Yeah, I know that sounded like a really cold rendition of the outcome, but
I hear you. Nikki, why can't our higher selves slip apart and travel to other locations? Why does it happen?
Number one, can it be done? The answer is absolutely yes. Your higher self can absolutely leave your body. That's why they call it astral travel. Can you get to other locations? Yes. That's the easy part. Can you travel backwards in time, even in astral form? The answer is no. You can look back in time and see what happened, but you can't go back. And that, bear in mind, means if you decide you're going to go forward in time, you will die, because if you go forward in time in astral form, you cannot come back, which means you can't get back to your body to reorganize it, which means it will die on you.
Makes sense, I guess. Fuck, I don't know. Jello's wondering, Keith Tack, the Tic Tac UFOs on video, ours or theirs?
I gotta look back and figure out. It's theirs anyway. The Tic Tac, from what I gather, and I looked it up the other day, and now I've forgotten where the heck it is. However, I do know for an absolute certainty it belongs to the off-worlders.
Hold on 1 second here. Chat room jumped again.
Wonder if I put it in here.
Vinny's wondering if my magic 8-ball is reliable on predictions.
I wouldn't trust it personally, but
screw you. That's my magic 8-ball you're just insulting there, old man.
Well, it could be worse.
That's it. You're buying taco time next time.
Well, I do believe that means you're coming down here, because I sure as hell ain't traveling.
Oh, one day we'll end up somewhere.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I don't tend to trust something. I mean, even when you look at the other forms of divination, you take a look at the tarot cards, right? Mm-hmm. Just for example, the reality of that is each card has roughly 7.5 billion definitions to it.
Yep.
So your 8-ball has 8 answers.
Right.
Maybe.
All right. Vinny's asking, do aliens breed with different species of aliens?
Not successfully. That's where the hybridization program comes in. I mean, you got to remember, it's a thing about genetics. On Earth, dogs cannot breed with cats and come up with a hybrid cat and dog.
Right.
Genetic splicers can absolutely make it happen, but it doesn't happen naturally.
Aliens, let's see here. Eulalio. Shit, I hate when this is doing this. Have you had an out-of-body experience to meet certain beings for any reason?
Multiple. I've also had past death experiences. And the reason I call it that way is because people say near death. Well, I've gone way beyond the near thing.
All right. Minister Elaine's invited us to the ranch for a barbecue.
Do we have any idea where that is?
No.
Oh, okay. Just thought I'd ask. I mean, I got no problem with the idea of...
Somewhere in the U.S. I know she's in the U.S. Bear with me, brother.
Yep.
All right. Greco is asking, if I was gathering alien souls by killing off folks, would the consortium come after me?
No, because they don't deal in ravers. However, the Daemons are likely to have a heck of a word with you, and ain't going to be a polite one. And much more importantly, they're likely to hire an Untar. And if they hire an Untar, you can forget about trying to harvest souls.
Oh, Minister Elaine's in Texas. Let's go to Texas.
Well, I was there a few years back, and I do intend on coming down there again at some point anyway, but we got to deal with this whole little borderline here.
Yeah, soon, though. Soon, though. Eulelio says this is one of our better shows. Love you guys. Thanks, Eulelio. Appreciate that. Greco, Opa. Is there such thing as mating at faster than the speed of light successfully?
Well,
Opa, how much fucking ouzo have you had tonight?
Technically, the answer would be yes. Considering the fact that the Zurzans have to reproduce at some point.
Oh, that sounded terrible.
This is going to sound really bad, but I really can't tell whether that sounds terrible or not.
I have no idea. Evil Carl, what's your question, buddy? I didn't see it. I apologize. Retype it and I'll ask Keith. Sandra's asking, do ETs just let you jump off UFOs and free fall back to Earth?
There are some that will, however, it is highly recommended not to do it because I've only run into one human that can do that safely. Only one. The rest of you can free fall back to Earth all you want. The fall won't kill you, but that sudden stop when you get to the ground floor is going to play havoc. Of course, the aliens that let you do that are a little twisted. Because those same aliens will bet on how high you're going to bounce when you hit.
All right. Nikki is asking, why would different races of ETs use their sciences to create a new hybrid race of ETs?
That's the easy part. The hybridization program is literally because of the fact the culture information is caught in the DNA. When you can program a computer with a language, but the language does not give you any information on what that actually means. Which means if you're trying to get a universal translator, the computer can handle the language, but it will not handle the understanding of it. Obvious example. Okay. If I hold this out to you, Dave, and I go here, right, and I'm holding the coffee cup out to you. The question you have to ask, any human will tell you if I'm holding out a cup, you'll know it's a cup. And you'll turn around and go, okay, that's a cup. It's got something in it. You're offering it to me. Off-worlders don't have that, which means you hold the cup out and you go here. They don't know if you're telling them, if you're offering them something, if you're telling them the color of the item, if you're identifying the item, if you're identifying what's in the item, or if you're threatening them. They've got no cultural information, but by growing a hybrid, you get a individual that has cultural understanding of both races, making it easier to teach them how to communicate both languages.
Okay, we're going to have 2 more questions, Keith. Then I got to round it up and I got to head off to bed.
Understandable.
Greco is asking, does alien music suck?
That would be personal call. much of Terran music I find sucks. So, you know, depends on what your likes are and what your dislikes are. I do not like listening to banshees do what they call singing. It's painful. You know.
All right. And Eulalia wants to know. Oh, not Eulalia, pardon me. Sovereign Farts wants to know, does drumming attract certain races or all races?
The vibratory impact will attract certain races, depending on what you're trying for. Now, the funny thing is, if you are dealing with drums themselves, will attract Sasquatch. They may not come out in the open, but you will get their attention. The Wara, you've got to be careful because that is actually how they communicate. And if you do it wrong, they will take it as a direct attack. And yeah, it'll attract them, but you may not want them there. And of course, the Dwarven race has a very definitive fondness for it. You know, there's a number of other races that will respond to it as well.
All right, buddy. We're going to wrap it up there, bud. I appreciate you. I got to get to work here tomorrow morning, or get to bed and get to work here in the morning. So and then I got to do a lot more stuff tomorrow.
Yep.
So we
hell of a show tonight.
Yeah, thought so. I will chat with you tomorrow. I will chat with the YouTube people tomorrow. Thank you to Fabster, Elaine, Carl, Greg, Stephanie, Jeremy, Yola Tango, Andrew, Solar Warden, Mandingo, Cat Chaser, Madison, Ozzy, Steve, Guilherme, Greco, and Ed for the awesome super chats tonight. Bit of Venom, how you doing? Good to see you here. But we got to shut her down. I'm getting a little tired, and I apologize, but we will do it all again on Monday. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Lynn Wallington, Saturday night show, and then Michael W. Hall on Sunday. You're going to want to check it on out. Remember, there's no place else you need to go. Right here, Spaced Out Radio, every single night. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.